Hi, welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Larry, Lawrence, Punk, whatever you want to call me. I'm sure I've been called worse. And today, my special guest, Legend Series, not Elite Legend, who I've called him numerous times. Tony, how are you doing? I hope you don't mind if I call you by your.
No, totally. You can birth name me. It's fine.
Uh, some people don't want their name out there. And
Yeah, I know.
whatever. Um, thank you for joining me. And just so you know, we had to go late. Tony's a little bit of a diva. He
Yeah.
needed M&Ms, but could only have the green and the red ones. So I had to pick out the other ones.
What do you want from me? They make me think about Christmas in July.
Someone made fun of me because I did a Christmas. I said something about Christmas in July, and it was so funny because because I did the Mythic Legion. I got this figure from Hella Dope Toys, right?
Oh, that's nice.
And someone said, Christmas in July. He goes, funny that you say that because he's going to fall over. I was funny that you say that because my ex just picked up the kids for Christmas in July for their family. Because they have people from out of state.
Yeah.
But I'm like, people do it. I don't get it. I can deal with Christmas once a year, right?
Facts, dude. I can barely do that.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, thank you for joining me. You and I have talked before. I've been on your show.
Hell yeah.
Which was a blast. And we chat. I think we chat a good amount.
Oh yeah. That was almost 2 hours.
So let's have the chat really quick. We got 23 people in here.
Oh, wonderful.
Hit that like button if you haven't. Also, if you aren't following this guy, then you don't know a Skeletor voice. Give me a little bit of Skeletor right now. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Go follow Legend Series, you bumbling buffoons.
You had me dying when I first heard it. I was dying. I'm like, oh my God, it is perfect. All right, quickly, we'll run through this. We have Krusty Old Crows in the house.
Hey.
Daredevil Dave, G.I. Bro, who has the best guns in the business here.
Hell yeah.
Johnny Reno, Crowned Fox Production. I don't
wife.
believe you've ever been here before. So
That's my wife. That's my wife. Hi, babe.
Oh, well,
Thanks
then
for
I know
watching.
you haven't been here. Thank you very much for supporting your husband. It's more than I get, that's for damn sure. I've been single for 8.5 years. So. Woody 222 is here.
My man.
Todd C. Gun Bunny Customs, who will also be a guest next month.
Awesome. I love his stuff.
Mython the Python, who I've seen numerous times, but I don't think has ever been in any of my live streams. So great to have you here. What up, everyone? I hear from my brother, Legend Series, the man, the myth, the legend. Hope everyone else having a blessed day, evening. Good to know you're not here for me. Matthew Matson, my moderator, is here.
What's up, Maddie?
We have 3-star draw.
My man.
Let's see. I know. We have Crash, who is in the house. Nice. Let's see. I don't highlight these, so I have to scroll through everyone.
You just all the old school way. Huh?
Yes, Tony Figs is in the house, who is all about the Tiger Force now. I mean, running out to get it all on clearance. We have Sabir is here.
Oh, what's up, bud?
Frostbite.
Hey.
G.I. Joe Repro, all the way from Australia.
Hell yeah.
If you're not following him, believe it or not, he has the second most viewed Thursday with a Friend. Only behind Lenny from the Hasbro G.I. Joe.
Hell yeah, dude. He shouted me out on his stream, so thank you, Frostbite. That was mighty nice of you, bud.
Yeah, and such a good guy. And
yeah,
much taller guy than I realized. We have Viper Scout, who will also be a guest.
Awesome.
Maybe next week. I got to look up. And then quickly, we got to get do this really quick.
Welcome to the Creamery.
Crash has gifted 1 Punk membership. Thank you very much. And it went to Frostbite 3 Pro.
Nice.
So thank you very much. Your wife is really in the chat here.
Yeah, she talks to everybody.
Clinton Jorgensen is here.
I don't know. I have a YouTube as well, Clinton. I just saw he asked that question.
Oh,
yeah.
Just Jeff, who I know I've seen, but I don't think he's ever been here.
That's another one of my dear friends. Thank you, Jeff, for supporting. I appreciate you, brother.
We have your boy Toy Games.
Italian support here. Oh, how you doing?
He came here for Tony's fakes. I know he's always here.
He did.
Lunchbox kill. You know, after a while,
Man.
you start to see names in
Yeah.
other chats that aren't in yours, and you're like, and Matthew will be like, yeah, they've been here a bunch of times. You know, you're just like, well, you know, whatever. Sorry. Thanks for being here. Sorry that I've never seen you before, but I got, you know, I've had people mad at me because they think I ignore their comments and stuff, and you're just like, dude.
Sometimes it's just too much, too fast, man. You can't keep up.
Yeah, and on my Monday show, I usually have about 15 to 1,700 chats.
Yeah, jeez.
You know,
yeah.
And a lot of them are people chatting in between each other, which is great. That's what makes the show. Is that community right there.
Hell yeah.
And often I'll try and read something, and I'll realize, oh, I'm in the middle of a conversation. So early on, I would try and figure out the conversation, and Matthew would be like, "You got to stop doing that.
Yeah,
like you got to stop doing that because you've completely halted, you know, everything." And fully understandable. And Plastic Skulls has shown up.
Ooh.
All right, so let me ask, where does your name, not Elite Legend, but Legend Series, come from?
Well, at the time, I was big into Marvel Legends and Classified Series and Black Series. So, Legends Series with the S was already taken. So I just said, fuck it. I just tried Legend Series since I'm only one person anyway, and it doesn't really need to be pluralized. So I just said, screw it, and it actually worked. I was just trying to find a name that would catch on, that just someone could just, it rolls off the tongue. People just can, you know, it's not, you're not going to forget it, but it's not this contrived, insane, like thought out name. I just wanted to come up with something simple, effective. I love those brands of toys. So I just figured, all right, Legend Series. I think it's easy enough. Everybody will remember it, and it'll stick around. And listen, it's done good so far. So I'm very happy.
Not like a thought out name, like A Punk with Toys. Man, I feel like I'm already getting ripped. All right, quickly here.
Here comes the money.
Oh man, Tony, low. Oh, Tony, how you doing?
Tony's face with the $10 super chat. Oh yeah, Tony's here tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, they dig the Macho Man impersonation I do on Sundays.
Well, let's hear it.
So, yeah, okay, hanging out with a punk with toys. Yeah, on the podcast. Yeah.
You know, if someone quickly looked over and saw the beard, you look like him towards the end.
It's when I put these on, I really, you really transform into them.
Oh my gosh.
You really become the Macho Man when you put the shades on. Yeah. So it's always sitting here just in case people pop off. I got to turn into Macho Man. I got them sitting here like a gun ready to draw.
Wow, man. Wow. Toy Game says, Punk, did you skate back in the day? And if so, favorite board? I did not skate back in the day. I still skate because I'm 48 years old. This is what I should still do. I guess I skated for so long. It depends. I would say the late 80s, early 90s was all about H Street stuff mostly. Then it became World Industries. And today, if I can still find a impact board because they don't break as easy,
okay,
I'll ride those.
Right
but
on.
from what I understand, that company got bought out. So no one really knows if they're even going to be doing their boards. This impact board, it has like this carbon fiber middle. So I was snapping boards like crazy because I got fatter and heavier. Like when I landed, I lost a lot of finesse. Not that I had very much.
What was the hardest trick you were able to perform?
Oh, man. I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, I did so much shit.
Oh, so you were like deep into it. You was.
Oh, I was good. Like, I mean,
oh, nice, dude.
I always say like I was at the bottom of the good skateboarders.
Yeah.
So like, there's the guys that are like really good.
Yeah.
I would have fit in with them, but towards like the lower end of their tier.
All right.
I did a lot of well, you're from over there, so yeah, Shut Skates. Yeah. The Shut boards from Sean Sheffy and all them.
All right.
And we have the Savage Land.
My man, this guy's one of my favorites. Say what's up, brother.
Yeah, he was just.
I enjoyed your show last week with him. It was great.
Thank you. Dude, that was. I try not to gloat too much. I thought that was a damn good show. I thought it went, and I never talked to him before.
Yeah, he's great, dude.
Like you and I have talked. I had never talked to him before, so you never know exactly how it's going to go. Other than you see him on his show, and you know that he can talk.
Hell yeah!
Like that's a plus right there.
He was the first talking figures guest I had that was literally in the toy community that I had never actually met. So he was like the first stranger because the first couple of guests were just friends. And when he came on, man, it was so easy. I felt like I had known him for years, man. He made it so easy. And it basically was like the catalyst to go, okay, now I'm going to start reaching out to people I don't know because I want to meet more people. So I'm forever in Savage's debt, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming through watching.
Yeah, and that's how like this show has gotten. Like you start with people you've chatted with before.
Yeah.
Then you realize like, well, I've seen these people enough. I can talk with them. And I haven't had a dud yet, thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
I think we actually talked about it on your show. It's coming, right? It's inevitable that it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, if you go by the laws of fucking odds, right? Eventually, you can't throw a perfect game.
Yeah,
right?
and nobody take this personally that I haven't asked yet, but there are some people that I have like drove around.
Yeah.
I'm driving around you like, all right, I'm gonna keep that one in the back pocket just in case. Because you never know. I mean, it's hey, there have been people that you're not sure of and they come out and
surprise you. That's happened to me a few times on Talking Figures. Guys come on and I don't think it's going to be a bad conversation. I just don't know if we're going to be able to connect. And just, man, within minutes, I usually connect with every single one of them. It's great.
Let me ask you this, because normally we'll get into this later, but because it's on my mind.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have a better conversation with people? I'm sorry, not a better. Do you find you have an easier conversation with people that you don't really know rather than people you know so well? Because I find it's easier with people I don't really know, because when it's someone I know, sometimes I have to remember I already know this about you, but watching might not.
Yeah. Sometimes I know what you're talking about, because you kind of glance over things that you might think they think is uncomfortable because you know them so well. So you just kind of glance over things, or you just don't talk about stuff because you know it so much that it's just kind of like, I don't want to fucking hear this story again. But I've lucked out because I've only had 2 guests like that where I've been dear friends with for years.
Okay.
Everybody else after that was literally meeting for the first time. Like Gaines, I met coming out of a store. Like we live in the same neighborhood, and I was going in, or I was coming out of a store as he was going in. We literally just crossed each other's paths, and he just brought something up because he's one of the heads of the Newburgh Toy Show, and he's like, "You gonna go to the show?" I said, "Yeah." And then literally immediately after that, I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, but I just ran into you at the store. Holy shit, I didn't realize you tried a toy channel and shit." And, and he came on the show too. And then, like I said, it just spurned from there. And I immediately was like, it was very hard because I suffer from social anxiety, like severe social anxiety. So it's very hard for me to talk to people. I got to get real baked in order to get to a point where I'm like this. We're just open and talking. But so like when new people come on, I'm very nervous because I just don't know if we're going to gel. I don't know if I'm going to fuck up. I don't know if I'm going to trip over my words. I don't know if I'm going to say something that rubs people the wrong way. Some people might not like the way I speak. I don't know. So all these things are running through my head. And within the first 5 minutes, usually even before I hit record, we automatically just, because it's the common denominator, which is toys. We all have the same passion as toys. And as soon as I bring up, well, what toy do you like? Or they bring up, what toy do you like? And it's just immediate. All right, this is fine. We're good. I'm not going to have any problems. It's crazy how it works. Because that anxiety shit, it fucks with me right up until the point that I see the person come up in the studio. And once I hit add to stage and we just start to engage, it literally just goes away. Because as soon as they come in and we just start talking about toys, I just like, oh, you're just like me. This ain't that hard to do, man.
And quickly here
comes the money.
Ooh, another one.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
Nice.
Krusty Old Crow, $6.99 Canadian super chat, but we'll forgive him. I mean, he did give me a Canadian flag at Joe Fest. I needed a reason to smile today, and look who showed up: Punk and a Legend perfected.
I appreciate you,
Enter
brother.
the dud. You're not the dud at all. Krusty is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I quickly say hi to Machine Man and
Hey,
James Lucas. Who's
how you
here.
doing, James?
So no, and that's we'll get into your show. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I didn't understand why you wanted to talk for like 10 minutes before we went on.
Yeah.
And then as you talk more about it and your social anxiety and different things like that, I'm just ready to go. Like, but I always want to talk because I do want to make sure, hey, is there anything you don't want to talk about?
Yeah.
Make sure your sound is good. At the beginning, I had people that would pop in like 2 minutes before, and I'm like,
whoa.
So like, if I did a show with Tony, I talk to Tony at least 5 times a week on the phone.
Yeah, so that's
no
easy.
big deal. Yeah. He drops in, no big deal. I don't need to fix anything other than if sound is an issue.
Yeah.
But with other people, you got to make sure like everything's going good, or else you're gonna have to make up some reason why you got to get out. Like, oh, you know what? This isn't working. I think you're a cat outside dying. I want.
I think I left my stove on. Got to go upstairs, turn it off real quick.
All right, so let's go back.
Okay.
So do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 41.
41. So you're still a youngin in this community.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of.
Do you mind me asking where you grew up at?
Yeah, I grew up in Middle Village, Queens. Picture it, Lawrence, 1982. Humble beginnings, right? No, it was I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we moved because something happened. So my mother and father had to come back to Queens to live with my grandparents. And that's pretty much where I spent most of my life. That's pretty much where I was raised, in Middle Village, Queens.
So what I was just saying before we started about how, like, hey, you get to know people so much.
Yeah.
This is already blending to when you and I, because we talked about this. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I'm going to have to kind of, you talked about being in the apartment, going through this stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, shit, dude. And, like, we're in the exact same spots. Maybe if you're talking Skeletor's voice the whole time. No, I don't think I could take that. All right. So did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother and a sister. I'm a middle child. I always tell, I always joke around with my wife. I always joke around with my wife, and she gets angry all the time. I say my brother was the first son. My sister was the first daughter. I was the repeat. Like I was the rerun, so I was always like, I don't want to say I got the shit end of the stick, but I was the one who got stuck with the hand-me-downs. I was the one who had to just kind of deal with shit. And I was the one who's compared to my older brother, who a lot of times was like a beacon of what everybody should be, at least according to my folks at certain times. But I love my brother and sister, but yeah, I was the middle child. So I got a lot of shit.
I feel like this is what my son is going to talk like when he gets older and he starts talking how like, oh, they loved Emily so much. And then Olivia, she was the baby. And
yeah, for real.
Yeah, because maybe you were just an asshole. How about that?
You know what? I don't. Sometimes I think that because, listen, I did some dumb shit when I was a kid, but when I start to look back on it, I was like, man, I think I was the only normal one they have.
We all think that.
For real.
We all think that. Quickly say hi to Oz.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
And
Frankie.
Boom.
There's another gentleman always in my streams.
Dumano, right? Dumano? Is that right?
Dumano, yeah.
Words are hard for me. I know you watched the show not long enough. You know words are hard. All right, so now you grew up in Queens.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, you kind of bounced around, correct?
No bouncing around. It was mostly Queens.
But did you bounce around like into your grandparents?
Yeah, no. Well, we lived with my grandparents. So my grandparents had an apartment building. We lived at the top floor. They lived in the middle. But if anybody knows Italians, I don't know how many Italians are in your room right now.
Kind of.
Okay. My grandparents had the basement. That's where they did everything.
Okay.
So they basically just hung out there. They cooked there. They had dinner there. They hosted company there. And they would literally go up to this apartment in the middle just to sleep. They would never, it was immaculate, the apartment. It would never get touched. It was like a fucking museum. So that's how I lived. Like I would come home, I would eat with my grandparents, and then I'd go upstairs, to my house, to my apartment, and do all the shit that I had to do. But I would never, I don't say bounce around, but it was in the apartment. I was always fucking around. Like I was books and shit like that. Where I would come downstairs and get like cookies and shit from my grandparents. Or get
that's what I was thinking. I meant like bounce around the apartment.
All the time.
I remember us talking about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Quickly, I want to say hi to K-Mac, who I don't believe I've ever seen, but he kind of mentions here. Legend, what's up, brother? Punk, hello. I don't think I've ever seen you here. Thank you very much. Awesome. And Four Feathers, who I know was over with Yojo Jerk and Gaines. All of them not too long ago.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, man.
All right, so do you remember like the first toys that you had?
Oh yeah.
Like just
yeah.
Or like the first toys. Yeah. I like for me, obviously, there's always the Hot Wheels and Matchbox. Yeah. But I remember like the Lone Rangers, which I actually still have Lone Ranger and Tonto.
That's sick, dude. That's sick. Yeah, it's easy. Like I could tell you that right now. He-Man. My father is a big. He doesn't ever admit it, but he's a fucking nerd. He watches all the sci-fi shit. He was a big, big Conan the Barbarian fan, big He-Man fan. So for Christmas, I'll never forget it. I got just a bunch of He-Man figures, and I was all in because I love swords and sorcery. And then right after that, it was the Ninja Turtles. So it was that first wave of Ninja Turtles. I didn't even know about that comic book. I just knew about the cartoon because I'm a kid at that time. I'm not fucking reading violent shit. And then from there, it was the Superpowers. Remember the original Superpower guys?
Oh, yeah.
And it was all those guys that I remember. Like, I'll never forget that Christmas. That was my father. My father had this is really Italian, but he had a cement truck job. That's what he was doing at the time, and he was getting paid.
An Italian doing cement?
Exactly.
Please stop. Like, you're hitting every stereotype, all right? Next time as soon as you're going to say us Mexicans are always on lawnmowers.
So he got, he was getting, that was a good Christmas that year. All I remember was getting a shit ton of action figures. I could not believe, because I don't want to say we were poor, but we were poor-ish. Like we didn't have like a lot of money, and like my mother
lower middle class.
Yeah, like my mother would go to stores, and like the warning was, we're going in here to buy something for somebody's birthday. Do not ask, because you're not getting shit. Like that was literally the warning before we even would go into toy stores. I told people like I knew torture before like I got older, because I would just sit here and look at all the toys that I would want and could not even touch, because my mom was like, don't even grab it because we're not fucking buying it. So just so I was like, Jesus Christ, like I understood what torture was from a young age, man, because I couldn't.
Did she bring the wooden spoon to swat your hand in case you tried to touch it?
No, but we did get threatened a lot with a spoon as a kid. Yeah.
So what year were you born?
1982.
82.
Yeah, 1982. Yeah.
So you said He-Man was like the first thing that you kind of remember. And the reason why I bring that up is I feel like He-Man, like Master of the Universe, I didn't even know it was called Master of the Universe. It was always called He-Man.
He-Man, yeah.
I feel like those are the figures that stood the test of times, and they, from my era, are the most handed down toys that survived. Because like even when they got loose, you could find a way to get them to stand, and you swap their arms or whatever. I feel like those are always getting handed down, so the kids your age or even maybe a little bit younger than you somehow got some He-Man figures.
Some He-Man figures, yeah. Because a lot of it too was like, I remember getting a brand new, I don't know what figure it was. I might have been that Thunder Punch with the caps.
Oh, I love Thunder Punch He-Man.
Yeah, I got that one, and then my brother gave me the original one. So I got the hand-me-downs from my brother, he had a bunch that, at that time, my brother's 3 years older than me. So like he was just coming out of things as I was getting into them. So like he was coming out of that and getting into like Marvel figures and things like that. And I was just getting into He-Man and Ninja Turtles. And then like I would literally just follow as he went on, because I was just getting his hand-me-down. So as he would get older and come out of things, all that shit would come down to me, and then I would just kind of get into it. Like the only exception is Conan and Batman, because those were I always credit my father for getting me into those guys, because my father was the first guy who bought me comic books and shit like that. So.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about Conan. I want to talk about that in a little bit. Like my dad was not at all. He doesn't like sci-fi. Okay. He likes John Wayne.
My father does too.
So yeah, when my dad passes away, and hopefully it's a long time from now.
Yeah.
I will inherit a huge John Wayne collection.
Hell yeah.
And for me, the only John Wayne movie I can tell you that I like is The Green Berets. Not saying I dislike the other ones, but like that's one I will sit down and I will watch.
Dude, my my father watches them all. Like I mean, I'll go upstairs. He'll have on McClintock. He'll have on. I mean, and that doesn't because my father loved westerns in general, so it wasn't just John Wayne. Yeah, so like I'll go up there. He'll have the Outlaw Josie Wales on. He'll have Good, the Bad, like Clint Eastwood movies on all day long.
My dad would point out anytime there's a western on,
yeah,
and you'd see like someone hanging over on the horse. He's like, "You've never seen John Wayne like that. He's always riding with his shoulders up." You know, and my dad has like all the Franklin Mint plates.
Oh wow, okay.
I have 2 12-inch.
Yeah.
John Wayne figures.
Nice.
That are on top of my refrigerator. Yeah. And the only reason why I asked my dad for them is because he wasn't displaying them, and I'd like to have something. Yeah, I can display of yours, you know.
Yeah.
And they're, they are the worst 12-inch figures ever.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, he's got like a big giant head. But I mean,
my father even watched the one where he was Genghis Khan, and it made me laugh every single time.
I know which one you're talking. That's oh my god, that's crazy. But so as a kid, you got He-Man. Mm-hmm. Which again, that's just the hand-me-down.
Big time.
Because there weren't many. He-Man was gone because, contrary to what people think, She-Ra killed He-Man. I'm only saying that because Allison is in here and I'll drive her nuts. If you haven't watched the toys that made us, that He-Man episode, the Master Universe, they talk how like She-Ra pretty much they came out with She-Ra and He-Man just went.
Yep, and just tanked, yeah. Because even when they tried that that sci-fi one, like where he was in space and Skeletor had eyes and shit like that.
Yeah.
That laser sword, I was like, that's when I was out. I was like, I'm done. I can't get into this.
Mython, Roman is laying down, and I'm not gonna call him because then he'll want to, and there's no one here because the kids are on vacation with their mom. And I have 2 dogs here, so I'd have the other one downstairs that will start flipping out. He's actually been making less and less appearances lately.
Yeah, he doesn't want the camera on him no more.
I don't know. He always looks at it. He knows exactly. Like everyone's pointing out, he's like, he looks right at it. I'm like, yeah, exactly. And I know Mython also has a pit bull, so I know he.
Yes.
He loves them too.
And my heart goes out to him because his dog is suffering right now. So.
Yeah. I'd seen that.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, but yeah, like I don't like thinking about it.
Yeah, no,
like the day is eventually going to come, and you're just like, no, I don't want to think about that. Yeah. And then quickly,
welcome to the creamery.
Allison Troy, who's been a member for 15 months and still with the She-Ra fake news. Hey, it's not my fault. I mean, it was on Netflix. Clearly, they can't lie if it's on TV, right? Yeah. There's never been false news on TV.
Yeah.
Or the internet. Definitely not on the internet. I've never heard anyone lie on YouTube.
Never.
Yeah, exactly. The Real Grievance says, yeah, we just tolerate life. Pretty much. I still ask, like, well, I don't know why people are still coming to watch me on this fucking show at all, other than maybe they're just here to chat. But you could do that in chat room. But and then people go, no, hey, people really do like you. I'm like, I guess, thank you.
Amen.
All right, so you were in that stage. You were young.
Yeah.
When the Turtles came.
Yes. So that the Turtles were really like the first brand new toys that I started getting, along with the superheroes. Like I said, the superpower line or whatever like that. And I was all in. And then I'll never forget the day. My brother begged my mother to watch WrestleMania 4.
Ooh.
So that was 1988. And I remember just sitting in front of the TV and watching the Macho Man wrestle. He wrestled 4 times in the tournament to win the title. And that's when the Mega Powers formed. So you get this beautiful handshake between Hogan and Macho Man. And I literally looked at my brother and it was like, superheroes are real. like holy, these guys are real. And that was it. So like I played with toys, but then as soon as wrestling came around, it was the LGN big rubber figures that you could kill somebody with.
Weapons.
Yeah.
The weapons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then it was just literally wrestling buddies. It was just wrestling. That's all I was into at that point.
Yeah, I mean, people want, people want like, rifles banned. No,
Yeah.
LJN
Oh
wrestlers.
God, dude.
That's what needs to be banned.
I can tell you
And
how many times.
those, and you probably didn't have them. The metal Eagle Force figures.
Oh yeah, no,
They were like 2.5 inches, and they were pure metal. Yeah, those are weapons.
Yeah. Dude, I can tell you how many times I would like me and my brother would get into fights, and those things were used as weapons. Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, they were soft enough that like if they fell on your hand, they weren't gonna hurt.
Yeah.
But if you weaponize that thing,
It left a mark.
oh yeah, like you could easily break your parents' window.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Now you talked about WrestleMania. Now you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about WrestleMania 3, right?
Big time. Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan slammed that stinky giant in front of 93,000 people.
93,173 people.
There it goes. Perfect.
And I was one of them.
As somebody who was there, they should know that exact number.
Exactly. I still laugh when they announce it, and Jesse was like, "Did they count us, or is it 93,175 people?"
Fucking guy.
I love when people like, "Dad, that number's inflated." I'm like, I don't care if that number's inflated. Look at those people.
And that was the dude.
There was a lot of people.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I just missed that. Like I said, my first one was WrestleMania 4. But you go back and you watch, and I'll just never forget seeing that one wide shot they show from the back of the arena, and it shows the whole building, the whole Silverdome. And I was just like, God, I mean, just a sea of humanity, as Gorilla Monsoon called it. It was something to behold, man. It was sick.
And my kids never watch wrestling. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because we had that, he was filming for the Hardy Boys, the meet and greet for the Hardy Boys at Sergeant Reds and Lex Luger.
Yeah.
I wanted to show him, but then I'm like, I'm the wrong person. I don't like any of these guys. But then we started getting into it, and he wanted to watch, some wrestling. Like, well, which ones do you like? So I told him about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's not a good wrestler.
No,
he was a great entertainer.
Best entertainer in the game.
And so I showed him WrestleMania 3, and he just was like blown away. And I wanted to show him. I don't have Peacock, so I couldn't show him Macho Man versus Steamboat. But we got the ladder match, because he's like, "Who do you really like?" I'm like, "Shawn Michaels. Like, he's the greatest wrestler of all time. He's the greatest overall wrestler of all time. I don't care what anyone says. He could take bump. He could talk.
Yeah.
He was a high flyer. He was technical. He wasn't the best at any of that, but he was the best all around. He might have been the best talker.
Well, Sean's problem was, and I always say this, was his crippling drug problem.
Yes,
that was really what it was. Because Sean could have gone down as one of, if not the greatest wrestler of all time, because he could do it all, and he could wrestle literally a wet paper bag and make it look good. It was just the way he was built. The problem was he could not handle the extreme pressure that went along with being the top guy or the guy. And it unfortunately, especially when his friends left, when Nash and Hall go to WCW and they start burying them in the ratings while he's the champion, that has to fuck with your psyche. And I think it did with him.
Yeah.
Here comes the money.
Ooh.
Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
James Lucas with the $5 super chat, $5 American super chat, Krusty. Punk, great video on Once a Man. Tony, you're fucking awesome, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, James.
And before anyone starts going, "Oh, this guy's such an Krusty and I are friends." All right. The only Canadian I really hate is Ken from Toy Connections. I hope you're watching, Ken. I take that back. There's one other Canadian I really hate. I take that back. There's one other Canadian I really can't stand. Quickly, I don't know what this is. Mike on the Python. I smacked Sting on the buttocks when he walked by, when he was still wearing neon tights in North Carolina. Now I have a prosthetic arm.
Listen, there's no secret that Steve Borden has buns of steel.
I still hate the whole crow gimmick.
The Sting, well, I think Sting needed it at that time because it was the whole, neon paint shit was running stale, especially at that point, because you're heading into the Attitude Era, you're heading into the edginess of wrestling, and he just, I mean, look what happened to Bret Hart in WWF when it started to go that attitude era, that babyface bullshit. Just it tanked.
Yep.
He immediately became a heel, and at the time, you got to remember, Sting is supposed to join the NWO. Yep. Hulk Hogan at 0 Hour decides, brother, I want in on that gravy train, and they rework it.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But Beardy McBeardison says, as a Canadian, I boo your assessment of the greatest wrestler of all time, Shawn Michaels. The Montreal Screwjob was when the WWE jumped the shark. I watched Bret Hart tap out.
Listen, now, I love Shawn Michaels, but Bret Hart always holds a special place in my heart, no pun intended.
So, because I know there's a lot of wrestling fans here.
Yeah.
If you don't know why I say tap out, just Google on YouTube. There's like 3 or 4 videos of this is in such poor taste. Chris Benoit.
Oh Jesus!
It's Chris Benoit. Oh, dude, it's so bad. You'll find it, and it's a still of Chris Benoit doing what he did to his family.
Jesus Christ!
And going to hell and fighting Luke Cage from. Dude, it is like they found it during the radio, like during a radio show.
Yeah.
And it is so bad. And he gets his yummy yums. It's when he's taking his. It's so bad, but oh my God, dude. It brought out so many amazing sound bites.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you later when I find it. As long as you have as long as you have a sick sense of humor.
Yeah, it's there.
I know. That's why I wouldn't offer it. Glenn Jorgensen says, Bret Hart carried the company. Shawn had no soul and couldn't carry the company when asked. Bret Hart was the champion, the ratings went down.
I would agree and disagree with it both. Like Bret, while he was champion, was having above average matches. He was fighting great guys, and he was having very good matches. The problem is he was the champion in an era where everybody had a job. He was a garbage man, a clown, a hockey player. So it was very hard for you to take Bret seriously. The same thing with Shawn. When Shawn was the boyhood dream in '96 and he won the title, he was having, just knocking it out of the park, pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view. The problem is the rest of the card could not live up to what the main event was like. Listen, with all due respect, Undertaker will always be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But Undertaker versus Mankind, that feud, because Foley was new to WWF at that time, so no one was paying attention. No one gave a fuck. Everybody thought Foley was just, Cactus Jack now regurgitated. Yep. They didn't care. So Shawn, while you say the company tanked, you could have put anybody as the WWF champion in '96 and '97. No one was going up against the NWO. No. It just was not happening. The NWO was going to bury whoever the champion was. It just was this way it was.
It was an invasion.
Yeah.
And going back to what you're saying about at 0 Hour, Hulk Hogan decides that he wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
Even though he may have screwed Sting out of it, there wasn't a more, like when it happened, I just watched it the other day and I get chills watching it. And it's like, he's right. There's not someone else that deserved to be in that more than him.
You couldn't put like Sting would have been a cool twist. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it would have gotten the traction it got unless it was Hogan. It had to be Hogan because Hogan, that Hogan was the star of WWF. Like he carried that company. Yeah. So for him to be the guy,
made the WWF.
Exactly. So for him to be the inside man, it to me made the most sense. Like it was the brilliantly executed.
And nobody saw it coming.
No, and honestly, that's what Hogan needed.
Yep.
Because Hogan was stale at that point. People couldn't stand the shit no more with the good guy. Like, again, because like I said, you're going into that era when no one wants to see the good guy. Everybody wants to see the anti-hero. Everybody wants to see the tweener, the guy who can be both. That's what everybody wants. And so Hogan just knew, you just kind of know when your time is up. And instead of riding off into the sunset, he decided, let me evolve and change everything. And he literally went from being the most loved guy in 1 year to the most hated wrestler ranked on the pro wrestling magazines, literally 365 days later. It was a complete flip and literally saved his career and that company. It helped carry that company on for a couple more years.
Yeah. until people realized if Vince isn't going to let more people show up there, they had nothing.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Vince was smart, and I don't know if you give credit to Vince or if you give credit to the people signing talent, because they were smart. They were letting the old guys go away, and they was just quietly signing all the young talent that was fed up with WCW and building and rebuilding what they needed. So basically, WWF or Vince was like, take these guys that I established. Go ahead, take them. I'm already done with them. But I'm going to take Chris Jericho, the Radicals, all these guys, and I'm going to build them up to the stars that you couldn't do. And that's what he did.
So all these people that say in that New Yorker, bro, what the hell's his name?
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo.
Man.
As he tries to say like he did all this stuff. Well, I'm sorry, Vince McMahon was, say what you want about him today, I don't care, but he made wrestling. Because when people get mad that he takes credit, he also takes the blame for the gobbledygooker.
Yes.
For Duke the Dumpster Drozy, right? He has to take the blame for that. So how does he not take blame?
Yeah.
And if you watch, if you listen to Brother Love, I can't think of his name.
Bruce Pritchard.
Yes, Bruce Pritchard and his podcast.
Yeah.
When he says, "Hey, if at the end of the day, I do what the boss tells me. If that's kissing ass, then so be it."
Yeah. Here's the thing too. A lot of people say, I mean, listen, this could be just speculation and hearsay, but a lot of people say Vince doesn't like yes men. He likes guys to turn around and say, that's a stupid idea. You shouldn't do it. Because anybody can be a yes man. Anybody can go into his office and go, yeah, it's a great idea, Vince. We should do that. Yeah, hell yeah, that's great.
I feel like we had this talk backstage about
it might have, but it takes a real and I think listen, a lot of people shit on Triple H, but I firmly believe that he was probably one of the guys that was going like, no, fuck that. You can't, he was not being a yes man. He was trying to a lot of people yell at him about the Montreal screw job, but Triple H was always goes, fuck this. If he doesn't want to do business for him. Yeah. Listen, I love Bret Hart. Bret Hart is one of my, like I said, the guy made me train to be a wrestler because of how easy he made it look. Triple H was right. You were leaving. You're going to another company. You're not taking the belt with you. Fuck all the way off. You have to do the job. You don't want to do it to Shawn Michaels because the both of you have a fucking problem like two little bitches.
And you had Alundra Blaze show up with the women's title and drop it in the garbage.
You can't have that with the WWF title. The women's title.
With that said, Vince also did it with the heavyweight title.
Which one?
Ric Flair.
Oh, well, that was just basically him. They took shots at each other, dude.
Yeah.
And the best part of that,
I'm saying,
are you referring to 90? Are you referring to 91?
Yeah.
When
Ric Flair came over with the belt.
Yeah.
So hey, Vince is not a saint.
No,
and
absolutely
I'm not even talking about the shit, but
I will give the WWF credit, with the exception of that SummerSlam pay-per-view where you actually see the World Heavyweight title once. It was blurred out every time after that because they didn't want to have any problems. And it was really Ric Flair's problem with WCW because they were doing some shit with him and he quit and went to WWE with the belt. Now, did they fuck up a literal WrestleMania money match? Yes. Ric Flair versus Hogan at WrestleMania 8, that would have sold, crazy. And because I don't know whose ego it was, probably Hogan's, got in the way, it had to be shit canned, and he fought Psycho Sid at WrestleMania 8, which please and thank you, Hogan, because I got Macho Man versus Flair at WrestleMania 8, which is one of my all-time favorite matches. I fucking love that whole feud and everything like that. It was so great. It was just, listen, what would you do if a guy had naked pictures of your wife? Literally, that was the storyline. Ric Flair had naked pictures of Macho Man's wife, and Savage went nuts, and it became a street fight for basically the WWF title. It was, like I said, some of these storylines wrote themselves, and sometimes trying to force it like they were going to try to do with Hogan and Flair, I don't think it worked. This worked better. It was organic with Savage and Flair, man.
Yeah, and since Hulk Hogan, like you said, I kept telling my son, Hogan must pose.
That was literally written on the booking sheets.
Yeah, but I don't care because I watched WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
If Hogan didn't pose, if Andre would have won WrestleMania 3, it's not the same.
No, I doubt no. That crowd is in stunned disbelief, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and then the best thing was when he won the title, it was because of Hebner having plastic surgery.
Dude, I love that so much.
I know it's one of my favorite angles.
The promo. Who got the payoff, brother? Who's taking the grease, dude? I gotta know names, man. That was one of the funniest promos I've ever seen Hogan. He's like, I can't believe this, dude. That was one of the funniest Saturday Night's main event that happened.
Yes.
Yeah. When they.
I remember where I was at. No, it was fun. Like when I was showing my son leading up to WrestleMania, because he was like, I'm like, it's storytelling. I'm like, here, let me show you. Like, there's storytelling here, and so I showed him when Andre rips the cross off.
Oh yeah.
But then we watched the next interview on Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my son's looking at me. He's like, I'm just like, I'm when he says, "Are you gonna accept the challenge? Yes or no?" I'm like, yeah! And I'm just like,
one of my favorite moments from that promo.
A fucking 11-year-old kid all over again. Like, oh my god, yes! And we're going.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments from that promo was Roddy Piper just calmly saying to Hogan, "You're bleeding." Like when he's because the way Andre's
he wasn't meant to rip off the cross.
No, yeah, he just grabbed everything and
because his hand is this fucking big.
Yeah, and he just goes, "You're bleeding, Hulk. Do you accept the challenge or not?" It was just such a great dude.
And he comes out with a little band-aid, like that thing hasn't healed yet.
You got to sell, man.
All those steroids, come on, they healed that little cut of yours. God. All right. Quickly here. Random diorama. Hey, 5K Larry and Legend. Yeah, I guess that is my new name now.
It's not a bad name, bud. Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Daredevil Dave said, I'd rather be in China. I think a lot of people were in China. All right, so we'll go back because you obviously got into wrestling.
Yes, sir.
So as you start to get out of toys, did you get out of toys?
No, I still collected them. Like I didn't collect them. I just was, gifts and my, you see toys, you want to play with them. But I don't know what it was. I got so enamored with pro wrestling. It just kind of took over my life. And then, I don't know. Listen, I can't speak for everybody, but every younger brother wants to be like their older brother. It was just the way I was.
Yeah.
So as my brother went along and then he discovered another superhero by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And then that was kind of like, oh, now I want to be like my brother who likes sports, who likes the real stuff. So what I did was I kind of skewed from toys because you weren't getting them. My mother wasn't, and my mother and father were not buying us toys. They just refused because to them it was, and as just cheap as they were back then, they were expensive by that.
Oh yeah,
time standards, right? So they were just like, we're not getting these things so you can fucking destroy them and break them. We're not so. What do? You just kind of figure it out. So I played with whatever I had, which was his toys. And then they would buy me some LJN wrestling figures. They don't scale with He-Man. I don't have to break the news to you, so you don't really play with everything. You just kind of and I was one of those guys, dude, where everything had to be correct. Yeah. I could not have Hulk Hogan hanging out with He-Man. It just made no fucking sense. Everything had to be correct. So if I was going to play with my He-Man figures, it was He-Man or things that kind of worked with He-Man. Or if it was superheroes, it was things that worked or went with superheroes. That was it. And then it was wrestling. That's kind of how I'm
with you 100%. Now I can take pictures now with different scales as long as there's a story of the different scale. But as a kid, I'm sorry, G.I. Joe wasn't playing with Transformers as cool as they should have been.
Yeah.
I was never going to be playing with G.I. Joe.
Dude, did that drive you crazy as a kid that nothing scaled with G.I. Joe?
Because I had so much G.I. Joe stuff.
Oh, yeah, because that used to drive me crazy. Because, again, you get a couple G.I. Joes from, aunts and cousins and shit like that, and it's cool when you get them. And you're like, oh, shit, these are cool. But then you stand them next to He-Man, and it's like, what the fuck? I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I've heard people say that, but since I came out of Star Wars and then into G.I. Joe. But I will say this, the only Star Wars, I only had 2 Star Wars vehicles. One was the Star Destroyer, which I didn't realize it was a Star Destroyer.
Oh wow!
Years later, and the Snowspeeder, but I could not put the Snowspeeder on the flag because it just wasn't. It was Star Wars. That was Star Wars, and it didn't work as much as I love the Snowspeeder. It's one of my favorite vehicles. So I couldn't even mix those two.
Yeah, Dude, hell yeah, man. I never crossed it over. And like, it's just as I got older, so you get into the 90s, and now I mean, dude, I remember exactly where I was when Savage went heel. So now I'm like, you're enthralled with it. And like, you play with your toys from time to time. But again, I'm not getting anything worth playing with unless it's, the LJNs, the wrestling buddies, and all that shit.
So when you first found out, like when you first found wrestling,
yeah,
Savage was actually a face, right?
He had just turned, because at WrestleMania 4, he was just turning. He had just, obviously lost the belt to Steamboat at 3.
I always thought of him as a heel because
I caught him as a face. Then I caught that whole Mega Powers run. Then he goes heel again in '89. My heart shatters into a million pieces because now I got to choose a side.
Now, is he your favorite? Is he your favorite wrestler?
Oh, Macho Man was my all-time favorite until 1990 when the Undertaker debuted. But it was always Savage. Yeah. His promos, they would, it would always get me. Like, he would always have like fucking like props. Like everybody knows the cream of the crop. The cream rises. Yeah. And he had that cream. It was just one of those things. My favorite one is when he's talking about Ricky Steamboat. He's going to put him in the trash or the crying towel. And he literally just smacks the bucket out of the camera shot. It almost made Gene Okerlund like break. He almost laughed because just the way Macho Man would do things. He just hooked me from the beginning, man.
No, and he was. And the fact that everyone said that's how he talked after a while.
They said he was like that. They said that's the thing. It wasn't like an act. Like Randy Savage was like that all the time. Like he was always like real intense. Yeah, can't wait to get out there, brother. We're gonna have a great match. Yeah, like it was just like constantly like at 100.
And he could wrestle. He was.
I think he was ahead of his time. I think a lot of those like you don't like because you're used to Hogan, 6'7", 308 pounds, heavy, slow. You see Savage, 6'2". 225 pounds. He could fly around the ring. He's doing things you never seen before. His finishing move at that point was the best finishing move I'd ever seen because he's coming off the top rope.
Yep.
Like a lot of these guys kept it in the ring. He didn't. He would go to the top rope, do the double axe handle to the outside. So he was trying that high risk shit before anybody else was. And that to me, like, but he did it right. High risk shit now is overdone and played out. Like
I'm with you. That's what I was explaining to my son. Like, one of the reasons why I don't like the Hardy Boys. Like when you look at Shawn Michaels, when he would do like it's not the shooting star.
Swanton bomb.
No, Shawn Michaels. He does the elbow drop.
Yeah, he does the moonsault.
The moonsault. Like he does that stuff, but not every single match.
No.
And the Hardy Boys, you're a wrestler.
Yeah.
Eventually something bad is gonna happen.
Dude, it's the odds. You play the odds. Eventually it's gonna work against you. If I could tell you how many times I've seen guys hurt themselves because they want to try something silly and it'll work on their trampoline or in their practice ring with the crash pad.
Yeah.
When it's live and you're going at 100 miles an hour and that crowd has got your adrenaline running, mistakes happen, man. And I've seen this shit. It's not pretty. It's definitely not pretty.
To the point where it's nothing special. If everyone could slam Andre the Giant, right? Yeah. Like a bunch of people did it well before it was televised.
Yeah.
But if everyone was doing it, WrestleMania 3 is nothing.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah.
Because Andre's been slammed a few times at dark shows, and no one will ever know.
And by smaller guys than Hogan.
Yeah.
Much smaller guys.
Yeah. And
but yeah, like the fact that these high flyers are doing it every single match, it's not special anymore.
Undertaker was on a podcast recently, and he said it best. He said people have lost they lost the art of storytelling and they focus on the art of athleticism. So that's where their mindset is now, where they got to do the move and not worry about the story around it. And I think that's really what happened to pro wrestling now. I saw, dude, listen, I know this is supposed to be like a podcast between me and you. We're supposed to talk about my life, but this basically, like wrestling, here's the thing about wrestling. It's real simple. At the end of the day, it's about good guy versus bad guy. It's a comic book come to life. We've lost that art because guys they don't know how to do it. And instead of learning how to do it, and I saw this happening when I was coming up in training. I was training in 2004 or 5. And I saw the crop of talent in the indies. I saw it. I watched ROH when it first started in Philly, and everybody went nuts. And I saw what was going on, and I literally said to the guy I was training with at the time, if this is what the future is, we're fucked. We're fucked because no one's going to want to care anymore about the stories. They're just going to do this shit. That's where the term spot monkey came from. Matt Hardy coined it. But really, like, it was in the locker room for years. What are you, a spot monkey? All you want to do is just do moves. You don't want to let the crowd understand what's going on. Instead, you would just rather get your shit in. And that's literally what it's all about. I got to get my shit in. You know how many times, dude, you know how many times I'm in the locker room for meetings, we're doing production meetings, and I literally tell people, if you feel like the match is dragging on, it is.
There you go, Mython.
Hey, there he is. Look at, he's getting comfortable in that bed. Look at him.
Sometimes he has a hard time like getting it just adjust. Not that he's old, but he has a hard time adjusting it. And I'm like, that's why I put it there. So like he'd sit there and
right in the background. It's perfect. It's a perfect shot for him, man.
No, I was actually watching Undertaker's podcast, and they were talking about the first Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, and he goes, Sean, I didn't like Sean at the time, really. He's like, but I knew I could work with him.
Yeah.
And
Sean was, he had an attitude. But if you were a top guy like Taker, and a lot of people, Taker was the locker room leader. They went to him for everything. He didn't he didn't play, so you couldn't fuck with the Undertaker. So if Sean had a problem, he wasn't gonna have it with the Undertaker.
But they were going through the match, and he was saying like he goes, look at it, he's working on my leg. Like this is the storytelling that people, and that's what I was trying to show Andrew. I'm like, people don't store. There's a story to be told during a match. Yeah, you may only have 15 minutes to tell it. Yeah, but
till this day, I tell everybody all the time. You could say what you want about Foley and Taker. The greatest Hell in a Cell match is Taker Shawn Michaels, the first.
We discussed this on your show. Yeah, and I agree 100%.
Yeah, because it was just first off the first of its kind, and dude, they did everything right. It was one of those matches where you were just like, boy, everything they had in their head literally came out on paper. It was literally perfect.
Now, I hate the ending. I wish it had an actual ending. Yes, I understand why it was done.
It was such a perfect way to bring in Kane. Yeah. It was such a perfect way. I mean, you could, because here's the thing. That's Undertaker's match. Shawn is walking into Undertaker's house at that point. It's not the other way around. But so Taker has the home field advantage.
Without Shawn, that match is not.
No, but here's the thing. If Shawn beats Taker cleanly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that doesn't, but now you have the what if, which led to the casket match at Royal Rumble the next year, early next year, January. And unfortunately, that's where Shawn got hurt. But it furthered the storyline without killing them both. And it literally spurned off a successful spinoff gimmick in Kane all at the same time. Like I said, that was literally that match from beginning to end. Exactly as they planned it, exactly as the agents worked it, and exactly as the wrestlers thought it would be. It literally worked out exactly perfectly. Could not have planned. And like I said, after that, Foley had to hurl himself off the roof of the cage just so you would remember his match, because Shawn and him.
And I remember where I was with that.
Me too.
I remember whose house I was at, watching that pay-per-view. Yeah. And then being like, oh my God, he's got off the fucking gurney. He's like fucking coming back. And then climbed up, and you could tell, like even the Undertaker, you could tell on Mark Calloway's face. Yeah. Not the Undertaker, that he's like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
My favorite quote from the Undertaker was, he's like, as I'm fighting him, I'm like, oh God, Mick has a booger in his nose. And it turns out that it was his tooth that went through his cheek into his nose. And it's so fucking crazy, man. I've never showed my wife that match, and I always tell her, if I'm ever going to show you a wrestling, like something where it's a moment in time where you literally will always remember exactly where you were when you saw Mick Foley versus Taker in Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring. It was such dude, that's what anytime someone says wrestling is fake, anytime, someone always brings up that match. Oh, did you watch the Hell in a Cell? Like every time.
Yeah, but I'm with you. Like, Shawn, there was actual wrestling in it.
Yes.
Shawn fell off the cage. He was hanging from it, but he fell off the cage through the poor Mexican.
Still dramatic, dude. Still dramatic, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
And
everything that he did.
The greatest chair shot I've ever seen until this day. The Undertaker hit Shawn. I mean, perfect. Right dead center in the chair. Shawn didn't put his hands up. The sound sounded like a fucking gunshot. How loud it was when he hit him. I thought Shawn's brains were scrambled. I just couldn't believe he got all. He had. I mean, look. Was it China and Triple H are literally dragging him out of the ring, and people are like, oh, he's selling. I was like, I don't know. Taker hit him really fucking hard with that. I mean, he clobbered him with that chair. I could not believe
that was like when my son was, because he's never watched wrestling.
Yeah,
he's never cared. And of course, now he's kind of like interested. I'm like, well, you're not watching on Monday with me because I'm a little busy. But he wants to watch he liked watching actual wrestling. Right?
Yeah, watch the old stuff. It's better.
He liked seeing actual wrestling. He didn't like the Hulk Hogan thing. I'm like, believe me, if you weren't an 11-year-old kid waiting for him to slam Andre, it's pretty damn boring, right?
You would have been all in. I don't want to hear it.
There's a 5-minute bear hug, all right? Yeah. And I'm like, but you got to wait for the arm to go up 2 times, and then it always drops down halfway, and then he hawks up. And Andrew was like, I thought hawking up came from the hawk. I'm like, oh
no, it came from Hulk Hogan, brother.
And to this day, when you see him hawk up and his finger comes up, like, dude, I am 11 years old all over again.
Dude, when you hit him that 3rd time and he just goes, you, and that whole crowd goes with him, dude, you just with him. I'm back to that 6-year-old where he's just like, you, and you're like, yeah. You're going bananas, dude. Like, it breaks my heart that Savage is gone. Because even now, like when he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, all I wanted was one last ooh yeah in a WWF ring. Yeah. I mean, fucking Ultimate Warrior got it before he passed away. I'm so sad to see that Randy never got it, because Randy was a major part of pro wrestling. I mean, literally was the foil to Hogan. He was basically, every generation has 2. Every generation. Our generation was Hogan and Savage. The next one was Rock and Austin. Then it was Cena and Orton. It's always 2. It's always 2. Now it's Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. It's always 2 guys. It's always the 2.
I haven't watched in years.
Listen, the storytelling now is good. Triple H is in charge. That's all I'll say. The wrestling is what it is. But in terms of if you're looking for storytelling, Triple H is doing a good job, man.
That's what I heard. And everyone even said that before he took over, and people saying like the stuff that he wants to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can always. Sorry. Daredevil Dave says he wants exclusive APWT crates.
Those crates were sick, by the way.
Hey, tell Red now, man. He's in here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's not a possibility. So just so you guys know. But okay, so you get into wrestling.
Yes, sir.
Are you still collecting toys, or still playing with toys? I guess when you get into high school, you're kind of. I don't consider collecting.
I played with toys until I was about 13 to 14, and then once I realized that all my friends were kind of like not into it, they were just like, "This isn't for us anymore. We're into like video games, and all that other bullshit that comes along with getting older." I never grew up, bro. Like mentally, I was always a kid. I was just like, man, this sucks. Like I won't collect toys no more. But like I still went to the toy department. I know stuff. Yeah. But I'm a skateboarder, so I didn't. Again, I don't give a shit what you think. I mean, you already hate me because I'm a skateboarder. Yeah.
I mean, it's different now. Before everyone's our age now. People now, like the younger guys, are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You didn't understand the stigma. Like, you're welcome for everything." Mm-hmm. It wasn't Tony Hawk and Steve Caballero and all those guys. We paved it. Like, you have no idea how people wanted to kick our ass because we rode a 4-wheel menace to society.
Yeah.
Like, big deal. There's a video, and I still call it useless wooden toy. I still say it's a toy. It is one of my toys. It always will be. There's been nothing other than my kids that have ever brought joy. Yeah. And just like my kids, there's nothing that's ever driven me madder. So,
dude, I'm the same way with wrestling, brother. As much as I love it, it still breaks my heart.
So as you get into high school, what are you doing? You're not. Are you still picking up toys, or are you just
yes and no. At that point, like Mike said, my parents didn't really buy me shit as a kid. They really didn't buy shit as like, now you're in your teens or whatever. And now you're asking for toys. And my parents are like, you're too old for that shit. No. So it's like, you got to get it yourself, obviously. Right. So you don't say nothing, whatever. Like, I'm not going to, I don't have the money. And now, like, I'm just coming up as as you get a job, you start to be like, well, now it's my money. I can do what I want. But, I just played with what I had. So there was no new toys. It was just really just playing with the same. Like, I'm a repetitive guy. Like, I don't care about taking He-Man and just putting him in a whole new scenario with Skeletor and just living out another episode of the Masters of the Universe, or picking up a couple of G.I. Joes and just doing like a recon mission in the snow when it's snowing out in the neighborhood. You just go outside in the front yard and just fuck around. Like, I was always doing that. The problem was, as you get older and you're doing it, people tend to see you and go, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're a little too old for this, aren't you? So it kind of becomes like a guilty pleasure. Like, you start to go in the house and do it because you don't want nobody to see you. And then, like, once you start getting ridiculed in the house, like my brother and sister started with the jokes, then it's like, all right.
Your sister's younger than you, right?
Yes. So once that's
even worse.
Yeah, that's when you turn around and you go, all right, I'm just a wrestler now. I'm just all in on the wrestling.
And this Crown Fox production says, fuck those people. Fuck those people. We're the cool kids now.
Thank you, baby.
I actually, I had my stuff like hung from. I was in the basement, so I would have like the planes and stuff still hung.
Nice. Okay.
But they were displays. I wasn't actually playing with them.
Yeah.
But I still remember, like, to this day, three guys, from four of us, they stayed the night, and my one friend got in my box of G.I. Joes. And this is one of the guys, like, him and I had like we had a relationship. He drove me nuts. He probably had the greatest night of his life. At least the greatest night that I'd ever been around him. And he's going through the figures and he's doing all kinds of stuff. He whips out Zartan and starts acting like it's Grace Jones and doing this little gimmick as Grace Jones. I'll never see the original Destro as not Grace Jones. then he pulls out Storm Shadow and the knives and starts going in this whole infomercial on Ginsu knives. I don't know if you remember the Ginsu knives.
I remember.
Yeah. And I'm fucking dying. All of us are just dying laughing. It's one of those things where I'm like, why didn't we have fucking just cameras everywhere like we do now?
At the time, yeah.
Because I would have that playing. I'd watch that like once a month.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I guess I remember my my friend Artie. We were on his porch and we were playing. He was the other one. It was me and him. And he was the last one like me to stop playing with toys. And we're on his porch and we're playing with him. And, I would want to say preteens, maybe 14 at this point, because it's just right. It's right before I get ready to leave Middle Village and move upstate New York. So we're right around 14 and we're on the stoop playing. And his cousin walks out who's much older than him. And I'll never forget the look he gave us. And it literally was such a judgmental, like, what are you guys doing? And my friend Artie literally looked at me and just dropped the toy. He was like, I'm out. And it was it. He never played with toys again. It just became like he would put them on his shelf and that was it. He would just collect them. There was no more playing with them. And like, I always believed that you should play with toys. Like, that's what they're for. You should never just put them on a shelf. So I was always like, all right, I guess I'm the only one. And when you become the only one, you got nobody to play with. The toys just get put in a bag. You just kind of, just because you got nobody to fuck with, you got nobody to share your imagination with. So it just got put in a bag, and you rely on the one thing at that time that becomes the outlet, which was Sega Genesis. And you just start playing video games like the rest of them because you can't. Like, listen, I could play by myself all I want, but when you start to get to a certain age where you look out the window and you see people throwing footballs around and chasing and running around and having a good time, and you're inside because you want to play with toys, it's like, all right, it's time to kind of put these things in a closet and kind of get with the program here. So it was a hard pill to swallow. I'll tell you that. I didn't want to do it, but I had no choice, essentially.
I know for me, in 8th grade, we started playing G.I. Joe again.
Oh, wow.
It was another guy that I wasn't really ever friends with, and we went up to the mall, and that's when the Python Patrol stuff came out, Iron Grenadiers. So we had got all this stuff, and so him and I were playing at his house normally, and we had this project where we had to make stuff up to sell, right?
Okay.
So people made the bracelets or whatever. I happened to be absent when I happened to be absent the day that it was due. So he did the presentation himself. So when I got there, some people were kind of making fun of me and shit, and I didn't understand. And so I had asked someone, and they're like, "Oh, he did the presentation." I was like, "Well, what did he say?" They told me how, we did all this stuff, and they're like, "Well, how did you break up the payment?" And he goes, "Oh, I just gave him all the GI Joe stuff." Now, he actually did give me all the GI Joe stuff. That's why I have all the Python Patrol stuff, all the Iron Grenadier stuff.
Huh.
He gave me all his stuff, so no one would make fun of him.
Wow.
But it was like so embarrassing because now everyone is like, now I'm skateboarding, but like all my friends were a year older than me, so they'd already gone to high school.
Okay.
So here I'm the only skateboarder.
Yeah.
The only in my area that's at the school that I walked to. I mean, you could spit and hit the school from how close I was. And then he says this, and I'm thinking, why did you say that? He's like, I don't know, I just panicked. So he just gave it to me so no one would ever. So in the end, I still have all those figures. I still have all those Python Patrols. And if I go and look at the price, they're actually worth a lot of money. They're not even worn that much because we didn't play with them all that much.
Yeah. Wow.
So I have like the same, like a very similar story of what you had where like you can remember that moment.
Dude, I'd never forget it. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like I said, it was more to me like I always had a crazy imagination. It would drive them, like my friends, crazy. Because when we would play with action figures, I'd be like, no, that's not how the story should go. And I would like write the story out in my head, and they'd be like, we're playing with toys, man. It could go out wherever they want, dude. And I'd be like, all right, fine, but this makes no sense. But whatever. I was always crazy like that. So like to me, it was always just like challenging your imagination. Because like I said, video games just do it for you. Like you don't gotta come up with an imagination. The game is there. It just has everything for you. Whereas with toys or writing, you come up with the shit yourself. You're literally the creator of worlds and shit like that. I always thought there was so much, and I always thought that was so much more fun than just picking up a remote and sitting in front of a TV for 7 hours and just literally drooling and playing video games. I was always, I don't know. That was just me, I guess.
So what's kind of funny about that is that when my ex and I split up, my son had his PlayStation, I think 3 here at the time or whatever, whichever one he was playing, but he was playing Minecraft all the time.
Okay.
And his mom and I both hate him always being on the video games.
Yeah.
But I kind of got to the point where I was watching this Minecraft and I'm like, it's no different than when I was playing G.I. Joe and I would spend 8 hours building a base for Cobra and for G.I. Joe and then in a half hour completely destroy it. He's building these worlds in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like he's building stuff. It's no different other than we're crawling around on our knees. He's doing the exact same thing other than his knees should be in better shape than mine.
He's doing it virtually. And like I said, that's me. Like my nephews are like that too. My nephew plays a bunch of that stuff too. And he, like you say, he's 10 years old and he's kind of smart with it. Like you watch him build this shit and you're like, all right, so you have enough imagination for that. But like when they take the device from him, he literally has no idea what to do with himself. And it's just one of those things where you got a basket full of toys, figure it out. Like you use your imagination for the video game, just use it, apply it here. And they tend to just not give a fuck because they want it just predetermined for them.
Yeah. But yeah. So, okay. So you get in high school.
Yeah.
You're not really collecting toys or.
No. No.
Did you collect comic books? I know you said you got into video games.
Yeah. So it was comic books and it was Marvel cards. That was literally the way that I.
Yeah, I remember. Like I said, there's gonna be a lot of like blending. I'm like, did we talk about this?
Yeah. But yeah, it was Marvel. It was Marvel cards and the comic books because to me that was the way around it. So I could still kind of like get away and like I had a lot of shit. Like I was bullied in junior high school, so I had no outlet. Like I would just get bullied. I'd come home and then I'd get ridiculed by my older brother and his friends. So it was just a constant state of fuck. It was just a constant state of what the fuck. Literally, that's how I was. Like, what the fuck? So it just became like this thing where it was just like, all right, so now if they see you play with toys, they're going to ridicule you. You go to school, they're going to ridicule you. What do? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, that's I literally like how it became. So Marvel cards and comic books were like the only thing no one would bother me with. Like, no one would say shit about it because it was trading cards and it was books. So everybody just kind of left me alone when I was getting those things.
So what I was saying, I say normally in the show, I feel like a lot of people that stop, because some guys never stop playing with toys, but I feel like over 50% of the people, they got into comics because they're easier to hide.
Yeah.
But you were reading, so it wasn't as nerdy.
Yeah.
It was oh well, you're reading.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I guess the cards would be the same thing, considering so many people buy baseball.
Well, here's the kicker. I'm glad you brought that up because here's the kicker. What I would do is I would go to the local card shop and I would buy, because at that time basketball cards were, I mean, just on fire. Everybody was collecting basketball cards in the early 90s. So I would go and get Marvel cards and basketball cards. And then I would just put the basketball cards on top of the Marvel cards. And if anybody said, "What'd you go to the store to get?" I'd be like, "I got these Fleer 1994 Ultra NBA right here." And people would be like, "Nice." And then I walk in the house and then I just, I would collect all the basketball cards. I put them in my little book. And then I have another book that I'd put all the Marvel cards in. And no one ever knew. Like, I was always doing that. And even my brother would come home and he'd be like, "Let me see those fucking basketball cards." And I'd be like, "Here, man." And he'd look at those. And then this other book that I always kept hidden. What the fuck is in there? And be like, "Nah, nothing. You don't want to see that shit. It's pretty sick, right? Look at this Jordan. Look at the Jordan card and shit like that." Like, that's kind of how I got around it. And the same thing with the comics. My father would buy me comics, so I didn't have to go. So he would just be like, "I'm gonna go buy Conan books. You want me to get you something?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, just give me the new Spider-Man or the new X-Men book if you see it there." He's like, "All right, no problem." And he would just go in and I'd come home and he would just be sitting on the coffee table for me.
That is awesome.
Yeah. My father was a good dude, man. He always looked out.
All right.
Here comes the money.
Nice.
Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
Wow.
Tony, you're my boy. I love you. Placing a 37.6% something. I know this is not what I do, so I play.
That's my guy right there, man.
Cheers. Oh yeah. What up, punk? Thanks a lot. But you get the. I promise you, I will get a drier one for you. Woody gets his own. You know this. You've watched this.
Oh yeah.
Woody gets anyone that's in here for you. Because you're way cooler than I am. Anyone in here for Woody? He sends so many super chats, and he would always throw this fart sound, or the fart noise. Yeah. I said I'll do it for him. I got tired of making it myself, and I just felt kind of stupid.
I appreciate you, Woody. Thank you.
Woody's awesome. And I'm glad you guys got to hang out. I mean,
it was a great time, man. He came through and we went toy hunting and shit like that. It was real cool, man. Good time. And we watched Grandma's Boy, which is one of the greatest movies of all time.
And I'm glad that I'm no longer my militant asshole self, where I used to just hate people that did drugs or drink. I'm fucking straight edge.
Straight edge,
that's how I was. I'm a punk rocker. But again, I think we all hopefully we all evolve, right?
We
all evolve in life, and we don't continue to be like that because, well, it's also legal now. So,
yeah, dude. Listen, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's been a major contributing factor to helping me with my anxiety and all that other shit. So, I don't because I don't do opioids or pills anymore because I had a problem with it. So marijuana literally changed all that for me, and I never, my channel is very weed centric. It's very friendly, pot friendly because of what it meant to me, but I never shove it down people's throats. It's not into it. It's totally understandable. Yeah.
I'm talking about when I was.
Yeah. When you're younger and shit. Yeah. And I totally get it.
We're different people.
Yeah.
Right.
Here comes the money.
Ooh, another one.
Here we go. Money talk.
Oh, Pop Blender. What's up, bud?
Pop Blender with the $5 super chat. Two of my favorite people just chatting together. Hope you gents have a great night. Okay, continue on.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I love Pop. And it was great. I mean, he was great to hang out with, and I cannot wait for Joe. I'm ready for Joe Fest again.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm ready, and you better show up, and you better.
Well, me and my wife got it planned. It's on the calendar. Yeah, we're already figuring it out and shit like that. So
yeah,
we're definitely gonna make more of a conscious effort to get to more toy shows and cons and things of that nature.
Yeah, and again, I know there's a lot of people that smoke pot here. Like Woody says, to each their own. Punks, to each their own. Punk words to live by. And again, when you're younger, you act completely different.
Hell yeah.
And I'll say this, I've told people, I hope not everyone's like me, because this would be a fucked up world if it was. All right, if everyone was the exact same,
it'd be a big trouble out there, right?
Yeah, we don't need all right. There's already enough sheep to begin with. I don't think we need more people that are like me. But not to mention, I don't need that. Like, and I'm not saying I don't have social anxiety.
Yeah, no. So then it literally serves no purpose for you.
Yeah, and I've had so many people that are like, you don't just wonder what it's like. I'm like, no, I've never even wondered what it's like to be drunk. Or be high. And it's kind of funny because people will be like, how? I'm like, I don't know, because every time someone has a hangover, they're like, oh my God, like, what's a hangover feel like? Dude, it's like, it feels like having the flu. I'm like, yeah, I've never once woke up and like, man, you know what? I wish I had the flu today.
Yeah, I wish I felt like shit this morning. Yeah.
But hey, I know people that, they're functioning alcoholics.
Yeah, I know a few of those too.
Yeah, they're close to my age or my age, and they're still drinking every weekend, all week, and it's like, good for you.
Thanks, dude.
Sorry for your liver.
I know.
Mike Time says stress leads to weed leads to PJ and jelly, Ritz crackers, PJ and jelly, Ritz crackers lead to siesta.
That's a fact, Maiton. I got to thank Woody for that snack too, man. Ever since he came over, he told me his favorite snack was peanut butter and jelly crackers. And when he left, because we bought so much for him, there was like a bunch left. And I tried, somebody tried what this Woody's talking about. And I tried, and I was like, God damn, this motherfucker's right. He's on to something. It's good as shit.
I don't think I know I've had peanut butter and crackers. I've never had peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, buddy, Woody, he's a genius over there because it was fucking delicious, buddy. Trust me.
And I love peanut butter and jelly. I know as a kid, like when you're like a teenager, you're like, I'm not eating peanut butter and jelly. And then when you start having it as you get older,
oh yeah,
you're like, this is really fun. Like, this is like, you took some really basic stuff, slapped on fucking bread, and it's perfect.
It's perfect sandwich. It's perfect sandwich, and it's so easy a kid can make
it. And for me, like, peanut butter and crackers, peanut butter and jelly go so good with a Mountain Dew. Now, I don't really drink Mountain Dew anymore.
Yeah.
Because my ex would always be like, oh yeah, popping chocolate. And I'm like, ugh. And she's like, probably because you're drinking Mountain Dew. But if you're drinking like a regular pop, now I still don't get that because that doesn't go together.
Some people like to complement flavors with each other, I think is what it is.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, high school.
Yeah.
You're reading your comics. Did you play any sports? Did you do anything like that?
I tried out for football. It was too many rules, and I was just like, this is stupid.
Are you a big guy?
I was big then. I was
how tall are you?
I'm 5'8", 5'9" on a good day with wrestling boots.
You're not that big.
No, but I was at the time I was a big burly boy.
Okay.
So I was trying out. I tried to be a running back, but they wanted to put me on the offensive line, obviously, because I was a big boy and I wasn't fast. But I thought at the time my favorite football player was Jerome Bettis, the bus. And I just thought, maybe I could run through people.
Did you know he's from Detroit?
I did not, but I love that guy. He was like my father.
Wait, you don't know that?
No, I know.
Oh my God! Like, that was the running joke, especially when the Steelers played here, because they played the Super Bowl in Detroit. Like, that was like the running joke. Like, Jerome Bettis is from Detroit, and then they go into like this. Oh yeah, it's like a running fight.
I think that was the year he won and then retired, right? When they played, I think Seattle, and they
did he retire?
He retired right after he won the championship. That last championship they won with him.
Okay.
I think he scored the last touchdown.
All right. I didn't even realize that.
But he was one of my favorite. My mother is from Pittsburgh, so she loves the Steelers.
Okay.
I would always watch the bus, and I just like, this guy's not that fucking thin. He's not bouncing around like Barry Sanders. He's just bowling over people. I can do that. So I went. I tried out. They said, no, we want you to be an offensive lineman. We like, you got good footwork, because I had good footwork. I was quick on my feet.
Yeah.
I just didn't like doing this. It bored me. Like I just into it. So I was just like, fuck this. So, like I said, I'm bullied in junior high school. It leads me to backyard wrestling. That's really where I got all of my fucking frustration out. I beat the shit out of my friends.
All right. So when did you start? When did you start wrestling? Like
15.
Okay, so you're doing
15.
backyard wrestling.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we like when I tell you at that point, ECW comes on at 2 a.m. At where I'm from at that point. So we're watching that.
Yeah, I gotta remember that you're 7 years younger than me. So
yeah, so now
it's just huge when you're a teenager.
Yeah, and we're going to the local playground. That's where our ring was, and we would beat the shit out of each other. Literally everything under the sun, whether it was steel chairs, a dumpster, flaming tables. My friend broke glass bottles over my head. We did literally every single thing we thought was cool to each other. Like we just did it all.
Do you ever ask yourself how you came out alive?
Yes, I have concussion problems till this very day, and I know exactly where they came from.
Because I asked myself a lot, like from skateboarding, like shit I was trying, like how the fuck did I how did I make that? Like,
dude, there are times where I'm like, how did I not break my neck? How did I not break a certain bone at a certain time when I took a bad bump? There's a lot of shit that like where I'm just like, fucking hey man. But as a kid, none of that crosses your mind. Like none of that is in your head. You will literally think you're invincible, and you literally think you can literally run through a wall. And what started to happen was we would beat the shit out of each other, and the word would spread around the neighborhood, and the playground would fill with these people, and they would literally watch us, and it became like a wrestling show where you would feed off the crowd.
So what were you using as a ring?
I don't know. We would wrestle on a playground. Now, the biggest, I hate to say it this way, but the biggest backyard thing at the time was called 2KW from New York City. They were in Manhattan, and they wrestled in a playground too.
Okay.
And so we were doing it in Queens, and they were doing it in Manhattan. And I remember literally picking my buddy up in a choke slam and from it was like, those stupid bridges they have on the fucking playgrounds.
Yes.
And I choke slammed him right over the bridge onto a flaming table. And I literally watched him hit the table and shatter. I look up and there's just 50 to 60 people just going bananas. Wow. I could not believe it, what was happening. And I looked down at my buddy Tom and I go, we need a ring. Like literally during the thing, I was like, we need a ring. We can't do this no more. And that went on for a while. So from 15 till I was about 19, we were doing that shit in the playground, just beating the shit out of each other.
See, it's crazy because it's like I'm thinking about like that is just so nuts. Where it's like, like I know a lot of people would probably watch the shit I was doing skateboarding, but like, it's me and the board, and a lot of things can go wrong, especially. But like, it's me and the board. Like, there's there's obstacles, but there's not a secondary person that can hurt me. Or a third or fourth person, which I'm sure you probably, there's not a steel. I wasn't trying to grind a rail, and then someone hit me in the head with a fucking chair.
Yeah, dude. There was one time I was it was a triple threat match. This guy has a chair. He goes to swing it, and he let it go, and it just flew. I just watched it. It flew over the guy he was swinging at, and literally just turned in the air, and the back bar of the chair literally hit me right in the chest, and literally. Like I would assume it cracked my sternum because I didn't go to the doctor because when you're like, I'm a teenager, I'm not going to go home and say, Ma, I was wrestling in the playground. You got to take me, I'm not going to say nothing. So I'm just going to come home, beat the shit and not say a word and just deal with it. So that shit, I'll never forget it. Hit me so fucking, and that was just one of just a litany of problems that I had in terms of injuries or whatever from those days. Like when I got into the actual game, the wrestling game, I had injuries, don't get me wrong, but a lot of my injuries came from untrained doing dumb shit that I shouldn't have been doing. Like when it comes to pro wrestling, there's a reason why these guys train, because you need to learn how to protect your body, and we had no fucking idea how to protect our bodies, and it shows now because all the three of us, because I'm still friends with those guys, like to this day, my buddy Tom and my buddy Artie, and my buddy Artie can barely get up because his back hurts, his legs always hurt. And these guys didn't pursue wrestling like I did. This was just from this dumb backyard shit that we did. And same thing with Tom. Tom's got scars all over his body. Like he looks like Sabu. Like that's how many scars he's got on his body, and his knees are all fucked up. And because back then, like I said, 60 people are fucking cheering you on in a schoolyard, and you feel like a gladiator. Like you're just like, fuck, I'm gonna run through this fucking wall. And it's like, and I always tell people that was just 60 people. Now you multiply that when I got to like wrestling and shit like that, people cheer and boo, whatever it is, man. Adrenaline is a crazy drug. And if you could bottle that feeling you get when those people fucking go crazy, even if it is a small thing of 60 people, you would be a billionaire if you could bottle that feeling.
Yes, I can remember like when you're getting close to landing a trick, or you're doing something, and you're doing something that like no one else there can do it, and everyone is fucking watching you. Yeah. You know, and I know, you know, with skateboarding, I always say like there was a time, and one of my good friends that I was skating with these guys, and I was the best skater there. And you only progress so much. It's when I wasn't the best and I was skating with other guys. They don't have egos, and they're the ones pushing you. But you're right. Like when people are like, and I've never had 60 people fucking cheering me on because no one cared that much about fucking skateboarding, let alone for my talent. But yeah, you're right. The adrenaline gets going, and you get people that are just trying to get you to land something. Yeah,
and you start to feed off of it. And that's what happens. You feed off it. You don't feel no pain. It doesn't matter how many times you got hit in the head with a steel chair. It doesn't matter. Like my buddy Tom would literally climb up, and I'm not even bullshitting. This is not no exaggerating. He would climb up like 25, 30 feet balconies and would just dive off onto us. Wasn't even a thought in his head because these people were going bananas for him. And this is why I tell people like, yo, I count the backyard wrestling shit because the way I did it wasn't as crazy as it was with the weapons. I always tried to organize it within a storyline. So if we went to a hardcore match, the storyline brought us to that hardcore match. I wasn't just going to get in the ring with you and just start swinging chairs like a fucking idiot. Like there had to be some kind of level of heat here. Like, what did you do to me? Why are we here? Is this a blow off? What do we do? Like when I was a kid, dude, like even I don't want to go backwards, but when I was a kid and my mother would put on Sesame Street, I wouldn't give a fuck about the talking animals. My first question to my mother was, how is the voices coming out? Who's doing that? Like, I don't care about them teaching me numbers and how to spell. Why is this giant bird talking? Where's his voice coming from? And my mother would tell me, oh, it's you know, a guy doing a voice, and they add it in. Okay, so when I started to learn pro wrestling, my knee-jerk response was, how are they doing this? How does it work? Who's doing this? Who's the planner? Who's the genius behind this whole thing? So I tried to always figure out behind-the-scenes shit. So when we would go to backyard wrestling shit and do all that crap, I would always tell people like, yo, man, you got to fucking plan this correctly because that's why these people go bananas. Because things are like put where they need to be put. That's why these wrestling matches work. That's why Hulk Hogan is who he is. These guys have these things carefully placed at certain times because they read the crowd. They know when to add this little fucking thing in to make them go bananas. Like, for instance, like you could body slam somebody 3 fucking times. Hulk Hogan made this point. I'll never forget it. You could body slam somebody 3 times. Go for a pin. That crowd won't say nothing. You could body slam the guy once, turn around, look at the crowd and go, how do you like him now? And immediately they're all booing you. You got them all. Now it's off to the race. It's just different. And that's what I would tell them. Like, we need to add this. Stop. Play to them because they're watching. They're watching. So we got to like give them a show essentially. And it was just like, people would tell me like, yo, man, you're not meant for backyard wrestling. Like you got to go. You got to go train. Like you got to learn, dude. This isn't meant for you, man. Like for real. And that's literally how it happened. I told these guys, like, let's invest. We built a wrestling ring. We put it in a friend's garage. We took a couple of bumps on it. It sucked. I literally turned around, looked at everybody, and I'm like, we need to just buy a regular ring. And we all invested in an actual training ring that came to my house and was in my backyard. And that's where we literally honed. Because that's when I started. That's when, now at this point, I'm in my very early 20s at this point. Like when, like that, because I move upstate when I'm 14, but I start coming down every weekend with my brother because he's dating somebody down in Queens at the time. So he's coming down every weekend to see his girl. So I'm coming with him. And I'm coming with him. I'm going to the schoolyard. We're wrestling. I'm writing out storylines. I'm writing out match cards. I'm writing out gimmicks for people who don't know what the fuck to do with themselves. I'm like, oh, you put a mask on, be a luchador. And I would write down their gimmick name and shit like that. And they would make it work. And if they didn't make it work, I'd help them. I would write promos out for them. I'd be like, yo, say this. We'll film it real quick, and then I'll put it into the show. Then I went home and I bought a cheap editing program and I started editing the shows. Because to me, it's like, if you hide the fact that we're outside, everything is done correctly, we're a wrestling company. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit where it is. And I say this, dude, I say to this very day to people, it does not matter where a wrestling ring is. It could be outside in the middle of nowhere. It could be in an arena with 1,000, 2,000, 100,000 people. If the people in the ring are performing the art correctly, it is pro wrestling. I don't care where the wrestling ring is. And I should tell guys that anytime they came up here. I don't give a fuck. This is a legitimate wrestling ring. We are legitimately training to become pro wrestlers. This is a pro wrestling show. This isn't backyard wrestling. You're not going to bring weapons in. Like, that shit kind of stopped once we started becoming legit, because I was like, I'm not doing this shit. We're not going to just be the guys that hit each other with chairs and do crazy spots. I want people to watch this shit and be like, I think the fucking guys are telling stories. Because that's really where my mindset was. It still is to this very day, but that's really where it was when I was doing it back then.
All right, so two things. First thing is you were the kid that had the half pipe in the backyard, just
pretty much
fucking wrestling ring.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which to me is even cooler because I can find other half pipes. Like, all right. So when you graduated high school, did you have the ring or
no? I was.
So what did you do after you graduated? What did you do?
It was.
Did you go to college or anything? Or
no, I just got a job. I got a full-time job, and that's actually where I started collecting toys again. Like, because once I got the full-time job and I was able to go to the store and buy toys, I started buying toys, and then that was just, you put them on the shelf, because you're in your 20s, you're definitely not playing with toys. You're all in on this wrestling thing, but you're allowed to collect. So it would be basically like WWE defining moments or shit like that, like those old ones that just didn't look right. So I would get shit like that, just kind of meant something to me. Like, I got that one Conan statue that I always saw from McFarlane, that like half action figure where one arm moved, whatever the fuck it was. So I got that, but I didn't go crazy. But like I said, I was all in on wrestling. So when I was done with high school, I got a full-time job, and I started to just research everything I possibly could to train. That was my next goal. So it was like, I have to get from this shit in the backyard or the playground or whatever it was. I have to be legit now. I want people to take me seriously. But it was a long process, dude. It was very long.
So, all right. So you just go into the workforce.
Yeah.
Start kind of collecting. You start collecting toys.
Yeah.
When did you actually start training?
2003.
So when did you graduate?
I graduated. I'm a moron. So I got left back in second grade because I just was way behind kids. Because again,
my oldest was held back, so don't feel bad.
So I got held back then. Then my first year in 12th grade, I just never went to school because I just was a fucking moron. So I finally graduated in 2002. I was supposed to graduate in 2000. I graduated in 2002. Yeah, so it was shortly after.
But you went pretty much right into training to wrestle.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. I will mention this again. You need to have Travis, Mr. Wonderful, on your show.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Because he was a wrestler.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's like the same as you. Like,
yeah.
So, and I think you guys have had a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Because he's around your age. He's a little bit younger than you.
Can I answer this question when I see Same Time Toys? Who was your trainer? I had a few. I trained with Mikey Whipwreck at NYWC very briefly. And then when I got my ring up here, Tony DeVito from ECW lived literally down the street from my house. And he would literally come to my house and train me. He trained me and a couple other guys.
Allison says Travis wasn't a very good wrestler, but he was a wrestler.
Listen, I was greener than goose shit before everything came crashing down for me. But the one thing I prided myself on was being able to talk on a microphone. That was one of the best advices Tony DeVito ever gave me. I said to him, I'm too small. I'm chubby. How do I get over? He said, grab a microphone and get real good at talking.
But to your point of you were green, I tell every kid that is that I see that is trying to skateboard, and I try and give them, and try and help them, or they say they're scared, they don't want to get embarrassed by falling. I'm like, one thing, if you don't want to be embarrassed, skateboarding is not the right thing, because you're gonna fall. We all do. And second off, we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in editing, whether it's wrestling, skateboarding, we all sucked at one point.
Hell yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Dude, if I could tell you,
fun and you're learning, that's what matters.
Bro, if I could tell you how many times I've had to tell people, like, yo, you know wrestling's fake, right? Like, it's not real. We got people get mad that they want to go over, or they get mad that they don't want to look silly. They don't want to have a silly gimmick that some like promoter or booker is giving them. And I tell them all the time, I say, man, pro wrestling is very simple at its core. It's two guys rolling around in colorful tights to the enjoyment of drunk people. Like, literally, that's all it is. Like, you don't have to sit here and act like you're some big shot or some big fucking athlete. You're a pro wrestler. You're a performer. Perform, because that's what people want. People just want to get lost in it. They don't want to fucking talk about how athletic you are. They don't give a shit about that. They want to get lost in it. So just help them get lost in it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to look like a fucking idiot. It's fun. It's my favorite part of when I was in the game was looking like a moron. Like, I was a heel. I'm supposed to look like a moron. Like, I'm not supposed to be the badass shining knight that everybody wants to be. That everybody wants to be Triple H. Everybody wants to be the badass that's a bad guy but still wins. And it's like, doesn't work, pal.
Well, I mean, to your point of like, it's like nobody cares. Like, I don't care what Tom Cruise's fucking politics are. I want to watch him in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Like I want to see what I want to get lost.
Yeah.
I want to get lost in the character that he's playing.
Yeah.
And like the one thing I told my son when I was showing him wrestling, I'm like, wrestlers are the only people in the world that they live their character.
They have to.
It is the crazy. Tom Cruise is not walking around as Maverick.
That's the problem with kayfabe today, because you can't do that. Because like, I can't live in gimmick, because 1 minute I'm out on camera beating the shit out of Damian Priest, and then Tuesday morning I'm at Disney World with him.
Yeah.
And it's all over Instagram. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work no more. You can't do it. And that's why wrestling's evolved. That's why it's become an athletic competition over storylines, because you can't tell story, because all these guys are friends and they just want to go hang out and they want to take pictures on their Instagram and their Twitter accounts, and they want to all be best buds. And it's just like, yeah, but the character they need foils. You need heels. You need baby faces. You need to watch this shit, and no one does. That's why people tend to be like, yeah, wrestling sucks now. It sucks because you can't lose yourself in a character, because you can't go like, oh, this guy hates this guy and I don't like him neither because he's a dick. Like, you can't do that no more, because you just go online. Oh, look how cute he is. He's with his wife at Disney World. It's hard nowadays. It just doesn't work. The internet really fucked a lot of things up. Just plain and simple, man. And wrestling is one of them.
So 80s Toy Boy asked, was Big Vito in FBI?
Yes, he was. He was briefly. I mean, I remember him wearing skirts in WCW. That's all I remember.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was a mess back then.
So Frank says, wrestling is fake. What the fuck? Spoiler alert, legend.
I'm sorry. So, every time I guess you remember where you were when you found out Santa Claus wasn't real too, right? You just got to remember.
So when I was showing my son and I was trying to explain things to him, and he goes, it is fake. I'm like, don't ever say that.
Yeah, it's not.
Because guys have gotten, I mean, they will chop you the way they do. Yeah. But I said, and this is when people tell me that it's fake, this is what I say to them. I go, would you call dancing fake? Because they get hurt. Would you call gymnast? It is choreographed, it's scripted, but they are. And my son's like, God, these guys are really athletic, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, but like a gymnast is doing stuff. Like, if you're talking about skateboarding and you're trying, like, you're doing stuff. Yeah, I don't have a linebacker fucking looking to knock me over while I'm in the middle of a fucking lip slide on something, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't call it fake.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, it was never fake. Like, one thing I'll always say, when I say wrestling's fake, it's literally just the winners are predetermined. So you just got to remember something. You got to just dismiss your ego, leave it at the fucking door, and understand that you're a character. Your character can lose. That does not mean that you are less of a man or like not a good person or whatever. It's just the character is a shit person. So that's like literally what I say. Like that's what you got. The injuries, I'll sit here and list all of them off for you right now that I have, and I was only in the wrestling game for 8 years total. Like I wasn't in it very long, and I suffered way too many injuries. I almost bit my tongue off in training. Like clean off. Like, I mean, if there was any more pressure on the way I hit on the ground, I would have literally bit it clean off. My whole tongue for 2 months was black. Like I literally looked like I was
I remember us talking about.
Yeah, I literally looked like a zombie. It was disgusting. Like I opened my mouth and the tongue was purple. It was just crazy. And I had an insane lisp because it had swollen so big in my mouth. Like I was talking like this, like because it was crazy. Like that was just one, and that was a double whammy because not only did I almost bite my tongue off, but I came back so hard backwards that I bashed my head off the mat and gave myself a very bad concussion. Like so, it was just there's so many things that can go wrong so quickly, and like a fake thing can become very real very fucking fast. So you just gotta. It's one of those things you got to know your body, you got to know your limits, you got to know what you can and cannot do. If you second guess yourself on a move, don't fucking do that move because it will get in your head and you will fuck it up.
I started skating again when my ex and I were like going through our custody battle and everything.
Okay.
And it was after she finally moved out and everything was situated. And this girl came up and she's like, I don't know what it is, but you've been skating so much better. And it was kind of like I was going there to forget everything.
Yeah.
But when you're not skating, it's on your fucking mind. So I would be skating and it's on my mind. And, like people are like, oh, you go skate and you get it out of your mind. Like, no, it's fucking always on your mind.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to be doing is something that's hard when you got something serious on your mind that's distracting you because what you're doing is already hard enough.
Yeah.
You already defined the laws of gravity and
I also tell people like you also got to keep in mind that you take a simple bump, right? Let's say I do just to take a shoulder tackle bump. My entire body is hitting that mat. It's literally like a mini car crash every single time. So everything inside me is fucking jacking around, all my organs and everything. Now I have to roll back up to my feet within seconds to now hit the ropes as hard as I can to come back, then take another shoulder tackle or a drop kick or a hip toss. And you throw all this shit into it. And before you know it, you're like, what the fuck? It's just like, dude, it's one of the most intense workouts, stunt choreography, whatever you want to call it. It's one of the most intense things I've ever been a part of. It's been one of the most rewarding experience of my life, while at the same time being one of the most literally, I don't want to say regrets because I don't have any regrets, but it's been one of the most hardest roads I've ever had to take, man. It sucked. It sucks, dude.
And Tony says, true as hell, mini car crash.
Yeah, dude, it's literally, I always tell people there's a difference between being in shape and in being in ring shape. In ring shape means you got to be able to hit the mat, get the wind knocked out of you, then get your ass back up onto your feet to then get it knocked out of you again. So you got to have a lot of air in you, man. But
anyone that's ever had the wind knocked out of themselves, they know, like, you don't just get back up from it. You don't walk it off.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's gone until it comes back.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to get back up and do that. So, but okay, so you start training.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you train for before you actually started wrestling? So what were you doing for work while you're trying to train?
I was working overnights at Home Depot.
Okay.
Yeah. I was working overnights at Home Depot, and then on every Tuesday and Wednesday, Tony DeVito would come over and he would train me, my buddy Kenny, and Bill Carr, who was the only one of us that made it. He became Dutch. He's on AEW and ROH. He's in a tag team called The Righteous with Vincent. But he was in WWE and NXT for a while, too. So he was the only one who made it, but he was 6'5", 270. He was built to make it. Like if he didn't make it, there was a problem there, Yeah. But it sucks, dude.
Rub some dirt on it.
Buddy. I took a bump 2 years ago because I started training guys again. And fucking A, man, that first bump, I got right back up and I looked right at the kid and I was like, you're going to take all the bumps from now on. I was like, I am done. I am not doing this anymore.
As Jeff says, that's 5 minutes laying on your back, pondering your life choices up until the next.
Buddy, for real. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you wrestle a guy 300 pounds, 6'5", and he just, it's like running into a brick wall. There's a minute there where you're like, did I make the right decision? Did I do the right thing coming into this game? Or should I have just been a spectator? I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, I can understand that. I cursed my old friend for getting me into lifting weights because I was like, even though it's not like, it's not rough like skateboarding or wrestling like that, but it is one of those things where there becomes a love-hate. There becomes a love-hate with it. It's like, dude, I hate fucking working out, but I sure like the way it looks when I'm done.
Yeah. You know? The feeling of it, it's great because you feel accomplished, man.
But I was perfectly fine just being a scrawny kid.
Yeah.
You know, like I wish I could go back to being okay being 115 pounds. Now, I'll never be 150 pounds again. All right, I got down to 180 and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I recently got back down to 180 and I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome. But yeah, there's it's definitely one of those things.
It's right, but if you know what the thing is too, if you love it, you never feel the pain. Like nothing hurts because you just love doing it.
Eventually.
Obviously the older you get, but like in that moment, like to me, like you come backstage after a match, and if the match was good, the crowd was into it, all that shit just kind of melts away, and you're just like, great match, dude. You go up to the guy you worked, and you guys just kind of like go over what you did. You don't really think about the pain. It's not until you come home, everything wears off, you cool down, and then you're like, oh fuck, like there it is, there all it is.
So I would assume this is the same as like skateboarding, right? So I know like Shawn Michaels takes pride in that he's never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
You know, same with and people talk about like I knew when I worked with Shawn, things were gonna go smooth.
Yeah.
Same with like Bret Hart, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard people skateboard and they're like, oh, it's not a session till you fall and get hurt. Like, no, I've had lots of great sessions where I didn't fall and get hurt.
Yeah.
Never once was I like, you know what I want to do today? Go get hurt.
So
yeah. I would assume like wrestling's the same way. Like you have those days where it's like you put on a wonderful match and no one got hurt, everything went smooth. And then there's other days that you put on the worst match and someone was stiff.
Mm-hmm. Stiff, because sometimes they come in with shit from outside, like they bring shit in and their mind ain't right. They don't know what they're doing. The nerves, a lot of times. Dude, my favorite part of my wrestling time wasn't even a match. It was a match, yes and no. I almost started a riot in Rhode Island. And it was my most proudest crowning achievement in pro wrestling as a heel. If you can ensue a crowd so angry that they want to tear the building apart, you've done your job. And I take so much pride in that day. Like this guy and these two guys were doing a feud. It was a tag team match. I was on this one guy's team, and they wanted to further their feud. And I laid out a fucking plan that they looked at me. They're like, this ain't gonna work. I was like, I guarantee you it's gonna work. And they were like, okay, we'll do it. And the shit went down, and it went down exactly as I thought it was going to go down. The guy, they fight to the back, and I'm the only one standing in the ring, and I turn around, and everybody's staring at me. They all want to fucking kill me, and my things are thrown at me, and I'm like, fuck, I'm ready to fight everybody. The fucking crowd starts moving the guardrails in towards the ring. I'm like, okay, now it's time to get the fuck out of here. Like I look over and I see one of my boys that came with us. He's standing at the exit holding my bag. He went in the locker room and grabbed my bag. He's like, let's get the fuck out of here. I was like, all right. And I fucking take off right down the entrance, right through the thing. I mean, I'm fighting people, like yelling at people, screaming at people, everybody. The crowd files into the gorilla position in locker room and fucking yelling at them. I'm ready to fight 100 200 people from Rhode Island right now. Like, fuck you, but you motherfuckers, you all side. I'm just yelling every single obscenity you can think of. And these people are throwing shit. The security's yelling at me to fucking leave. I finally walk out of the building. And as soon as I walked out of the building, everybody who was in the match with me was waiting right there outside the back of the building. And they were laughing their ass off. They're like, dude, I can't believe we got them. I was like, buddy, I think we need to leave. I said, you know, it was a good joke. It was a good joke, but I think we got a problem. So we left. Me and my tag team partner left. We had to literally leave Rhode Island. And those guys that we worked had to go back inside and tell everybody that it was a work because they were ready to tear the building apart. They were so fucking angry that 2 New Yorkers walked in and just completely shit on everything that they loved. It was like a small company that was very loyal fan base. These people loved these guys, these wrestlers and shit. It was all family, friends, and everything like that. So when we walked in there, dude, a pandemonium, hell broke loose. It was fucking crazy, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was like, so it was one of my crowning achievements, just to look up and see everybody angry at me. In my head, I was like, you fucking got him. Like, you got him eating out of the palm of your hand. Anything you
that
say,
adrenaline's just, I mean,
dude, you have no idea. You have no idea how.
And then the fear of being killed.
None. It was gone. It was gone. I was like, yo, fuck you. You ain't gonna do shit to me. It was crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
That's nuts. All right. So how long did you wrestle for?
It was about till 2000. Like officially, it was about 2005 to 2012. 2012. Yeah.
Okay. Now was it just from local promotions? Were you still working at full time?
Yeah, it was a lot of it was indie places. The backyard stuff had kind of just trailed off. I had taken what I started in the backyard and basically made it legitimate inside a building. So I took my company, it was called MVW. It originally was called Middle Village Wrestling because that's where I was from, Queens. That's where it started. And then when I moved upstate, where I'm from is the Mid Valley area, so I just kept the same acronym, MVW. And I just fucking created my own promotion in Jersey because I found a guy who had a building, everything set up, ready to go. He has like his own arena, essentially. And I'll never forget a shout out to Mike Morgan. He was like another one of my trainers, along with DeVito and Whipwreck. And that's where I worked out with Jay Lethal because Jay Lethal was a part of Ace. And I would work out with Jay a lot. Jay was a great dude, fucking dude, a plethora of knowledge, man. That guy was brilliant. And, you know, so now I take it from the yard in the inside, and now I'm working with this guy, Mike Morgan, who runs this company, and he's kind of telling me how to book. He's teaching me how to run a show. He's teaching me how to like promote, essentially. So now I'm learning everything. I'm in the ring learning. I'm out of the ring learning all at the same time while still wrestling for this guy, Mike Morgan. I was wrestling for his company. And then I started to create his minor league or his NXT. So he's like, you bring in all the guys we're training and you train them, you teach them, they come through your company, and then they'll come right into Ace and they'll work for me. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I can do that. That's easy enough. And then that's pretty much where I basically created my own wrestling company and had it to a point where it was starting to gain traction. And then he lost the building. So
now, were you already producing? Because you talked about producing your own show. So you were already producing. So
I'm already there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you already have this whole idea ready to go.
Yeah. Well, what happened was everybody at that time, in terms of the backyard scene, was all trying to legitimize themselves. So they all wanted to go indoors. So I'm like, all right, well, I know that my product is different from everybody else's. It's more story driven. So I know wherever we go, we're not going to have a problem because a lot of the wrestling companies didn't want to let backyarders in because it was a stigma attached to it. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to hurt themselves or whatever. So we go and I rent this guy's building and I have a show sold out. Couldn't believe it. It was a tribute show to a friend who passed away. And he saw how it was ran. He saw how smoothly it went, how I wired the refs with a walkie-talkie so I can tell them when it was time to wrap shit up because I didn't want guys fucking in the ring longer than they needed to be. Okay. And he just saw all those little nuances, and no one in the indies was doing that. No one was wiring refs. No one was going down over the booking sheet telling people this is how it's got to be, please, because I need to further a storyline and shit like that. And actually, very intensely doing it, filming promos. He's like, backyardists come in here, they just get in the ring, they do a bunch of fucking moves. It looks like a clusterfuck, and they leave. He goes, you guys came in, and it was a company. He goes, I'm not gonna let this just go away. He goes, what? Let's work out a deal here, and we came to the table, and we just kind of worked out a deal. And I thought it was great at the time because we were all young. Like I said, we're all greener than goose shit. We need to get in the ring. We need to work with guys better than us. And he was willing to let his guys come on my show. Guys like Dan Moff, guys like Mario Bocaro, who's in TNA for a while. Like all these guys were with him. They came up through Ace. They trained with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal was actually going to come on the show too. So I was like working a lot of things out. And I was phasing out the guys who were lazy, the guys who didn't want to train, the guys who didn't want to get better, because I wanted this to be legit. I wanted people to say, this is a legit wrestling company. This ain't some backyard shit. So I was trying to bring in top guys to work my guys. I listen, fucking many, many young talents that are big time guys now, whether it's in the indies or on AEW, even some guys in WWE came through my doors and I worked with them. And it might have been brief, but it happened. I was very proud of it. I was very proud that I took something that was considered low rent backyard wrestling and turned it into a legitimate company that for a year and a half was starting to churn a profit and was actually garnering a serious fan base. I was very proud of that.
So you did it to 2012. You said 2012?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, early 2012 is when it all ended.
So it ended. Now you talked about getting injured.
Yes. I got injured on the job. I was at my day job when that happened. That happened.
Okay. All right. So what are you doing for work while you're also doing pro wrestling? Now,
I'm working at overnights at Home Depot. Just didn't work for me. Could not do overnights. I hated it. Called out more than I went to work. So I eventually leave that job, and then I just get a bunch of odd jobs. Like I was working with a plumber. I worked with a contractor. And then I got a job as a security guard, which is where I spent most of my time during the training section of my wrestling. And then right after that, I found a job working at a medical clinic as a maintenance man. And that was good. That was really good money. It was a 401k, had literally everything I needed. So I was very happy with it. Like it was perfect. And I was like, all right, this is going to be where I plant my flag in terms of jobs, because I saw there was room for growth. I could become the supervisor. They told me everything. And I was literally on the road for it. They're like, yeah, you're going to be the supervisor. You're going to have all. I was like, all right, cool. And then I had wrestling as like basically, the weekend stuff. That was my week. I was a weekend warrior essentially. So I would just travel. I wrestled in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Jersey, New York. I think I went as far as Massachusetts. I think that's as far as I went. To me, I wanted to stay on the East Coast unless it was like going to the show. If I was going to WWE, something like that, then I'll travel. But I never, like I always tell my guys, I was like, why would I go to California to wrestle the same guy I can wrestle here? Like it makes no fucking sense to do all that traveling to wrestle somebody like I wrestle here and get paid $50. Like, I just don't see. And when I was coming up, buddy, they made you pay to wrestle. You had to buy 10 tickets and then sell those 10 tickets. And then you still had to give them money. So you didn't get anything. And they sold it. They gave you a shit sandwich and told you it was fucking ice cream. It was bullshit. Like I could not. I remember one time telling a promoter, I looked right in his face. I said, let me get this straight, fuckface. I was like, you want me to buy tickets from you, then sell them. You take that money and I still don't get paid. I just get the honor of wrestling on your company. And he goes, yeah. I said, well, tell your story fucking walking, dude. I'm not doing that shit. I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, I can't not fuck you. Like I'm like one of few people who never went along with the bullshit. Like when a promoter fed you a fucking dream, I would tell guys, I would tell promoters straight up, don't feed me a fucking dream. I don't need the dream. I just want to work. Book me, pay me, let me go home. That's all I want. I want to be considered one of you guys, which is a pro wrestler who comes to work, gets paid to work, and goes home. That's what I fucking want. Don't try to feed me the green goose shit. Like the one thing about pro wrestling, and I love pro wrestling to the end of the day, and it prides itself on respect, but they don't give respect. And even if you try to earn it, they still don't fucking give it to you. Like you have to beat your body to literal dirt before you finally get an inkling of it. It's fucking crazy, man. And it was one of the reasons why in 2012, I took a hiatus. Like I wrestled a match against Bill to get him into Ace, and we had a great match. And I wrestled that match with walking pneumonia and didn't even know it because I was sick as shit, didn't realize it. I get in the ring with him. I almost pass out 3 fucking times in the ring. I come backstage. The fucking building is spinning. I have no fucking idea. I can't catch my breath. Like Bill had to literally like watch me to make sure I was okay for the rest of the show. I come home. I go to the doctor the next day. I found out I have walking pneumonia. And I was just like, yo, man. And I didn't even get a thank you from anybody. I didn't like Bill thanked me 1,000 times, but like the promoter, none of these guys who I literally, because the doctor's like, yo, you're pretty fucked up, bud. Like this could have been bad. Like you were dehydrated. I didn't drink anything. It was real bad. And he's like, you got to go home now and then like get rest. And the promoter didn't even say thank you. Like I told him all this, and he didn't say, "Well, but thank you so much for performing. Like you guys killed it." Because I think we had one of the best matches on the card. And I'm not just saying that because it's me. I'm saying that because guys told me this. Guys came to me in the locker room and they're like, "Yo, it's one of the best matches tonight, man. Great job, guys." And so I was just like, "All right, cool." I was like, at least I think I finally solidified a little something like I can work. Because one thing I'm good at, dude, I can take bumps. I can work. I was very good at that. And I'll never sit here and tell you that I could fly around the ring like these guys, and I never tried to. And the one thing I tell guys today is, I don't have to wrestle to your style. You got to wrestle to mine, especially if I'm a heel. I'm dictating the pace of the match. So if I'm going slow, pal, guess what? You're slowing the fuck down. It's just the way it's going to be. You know, so I felt like I had earned my skin in the game. And when I didn't get the respect I deserved, I lashed out. I acted like a child. I basically told the guy who at that time I thought of as like a second father or like an uncle, Mike Morgan. I told him to go fuck off. I said, fuck you, fuck your company, fuck this. I'm done because I don't get no respect. And when I present something to you, because at the time I wanted a storyline and he didn't fucking give me it. And I'm trying to come up with one. I literally painted one perfectly for him because he had another guy that had nothing. And I figured the two of us, let's do it. Completely shat all over it. Came up with some other bullshit storyline. And that's when I said, yeah, fuck this place. And I took a year off wrestling and just worked at my maintenance job. And because I was like, all right, well, at least these people told me that I have room for growth. They're showing me respect. So my time in wrestling is done. And dude, 3 months into that little break, I was driving myself crazy. I missed it so much. I was like, oh, fuck, I miss it. I have to go back. And just when I was starting to train, I was starting to get ready to go back. 2013, January, was literally a year later, almost a calendar year to the date. I'm in my job. The people are complaining that it's cold because there's an air conditioner in the window. They're asking me to take it out of the window. I was like, all right, no problem. I go in and take it out, not realizing how big the air conditioner is. So I had no fucking idea. And some moron, I mean, when I tell you this guy went out of his way to mount this thing into the window in a way where you weren't going to get it out or you're not supposed to take it out, he did. And I had no fucking idea. And I literally, like He-Man, strength this thing right out of the fog. I got so mad because it's frustrating. I'm not getting it. And I have 3 doctors over my back because I'm working at a doctor's office. And they're like, did you get it out yet? It's so cold in here. And I'm like, why don't you shut the fuck up and let me just get this in it? So I'm getting angry and I just yanked this fucking thing out of the window. And it fucking at once just all came crashing out. The thing was huge. And I heard a pop in my neck, like immediately when I pulled it. I was like, well, that's not good. So I get it on the cart. I wheel it to the back. I didn't even close the window. I said, fuck you can do that. And I walked out with it. And I literally, my right hand was shaking because I felt the pop in my neck and my right hand. I was like, what the fuck is what? So I take it to my boss, which was at the main office at another place. I walk into her office carrying the air conditioner out of literal anger. Like my face was bright red and I slammed the thing right in front of her in her office. She was doing a meeting with somebody and I slammed it right in front of her and I looked at her and she's like, what the fuck? And I said, I hurt my neck. I'm going home. And I walked out and I went home and they called me up later that day and I explained to them exactly what happened. They say, go to the doctor tomorrow, get checked out. I said, okay, no problem. The next morning, I literally can't get out of bed. Like I'm literally frozen in bed. Everything is like seized up. My neck was literally on fire. I was like, what the fuck? And like, it took me 2.5 hours just to get out of bed that morning to get to the doctor. And when I got there, they immediately sent me to an orthopedist who then basically told me that I probably herniated discs or tore something in my neck. And it turns out that I herniated 3 discs. Yeah.
So what did you have to do for that?
Okay. So they basically tell me, I told them there was a lot of shit that was wrong with me when it happened. I said, my neck is fucked up. My arm is fucked up. My right arm, because I told you it was shaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, and my lower back is fucked. It's fucked. Like, I don't know what's going on. This fucking cocksucker doctor says to me, oh, no, it's your neck. We're going to do this surgery on the hernia, because they did an MRI. They saw that there was 2 discs bulging completely out, protruding and pressing against the nerve in my neck.
My ex has had 4 back surgeries, so okay. I know all about.
Yeah. So
I don't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah. So they turn around and they go, we're going to fix the neck. Everything else is going to work. You know, the neck is connected to the arm. That's why you're having arm problems.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. You guys are the doctors. I'm just a moron. Let's do this. So they do the neck surgery. I am in recovery. They tell my mother he has another herniated disc. We didn't know. We saw it while we were operating on him. I didn't touch it because it's not approved by Workman's Comp. So we left it in there. And it's literally his exact words to my mother. My mother said this to me and couldn't believe that he said this to her. It's definitely going to give him problems in the future. But we didn't, for right now, he's going to be fine. And then just walks out of the room. So my mother's like, all right, well, is that good news or bad news? I don't know what to tell him when he wakes up. So I wake up, she tells me this. I go, all right, whatever, So I go through the rehab, you do the PT, do all that shit. I come back to see him 3 months later, tell him straight up. I go, buddy, my neck is okay. I had limited mobility before the surgery. I got better mobility now in my neck. That worked. I said, but my arm is still fucked up. I have no strength in my arm. And my lower back is killing me. You said everything was going to get fixed. Basically kind of wrote me off. Because at that point now, Workman's Comp wasn't going to prove anything else. And he didn't want to hear any fucking stories. So he basically sent me on my way. So now I walk out and I go to another doctor. And I'm talking to that doctor. I'm telling him everything that's wrong with me. And I'm trying to explain to him that, my life was great. Like I had a great job. I haven't been to work in months now. I wanted to, I used to be a pro wrestler. I want to get back into that. And he literally said to me, I don't think that's a good idea, young man. And I said, well, I understand that. I said, but I see John Cena had the same thing, the same neck surgery. And he came back and the fucking doctor, dude, he looks me right in the face and he goes, son, you don't have John Cena money. Literally said that to me. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah, that's true. And he goes, I suggest you don't do anything anymore. And I'm just like, all right. So I guess that's the end of that. And I come home and literally I lost everything in a matter of months. Like they fired me at the job because I was out of work too long. So they just basically shit canned me through. The funny thing is they did it through FedEx and I felt like Steve Austin. I was like, oh shit, they stone cold me. I was like, this is fucking crazy. I called them up on the phone and literally they cut a stone cold promo on them. I was like, you motherfuckers fire people. You don't have the balls to call them. And they're like trying to say sorry. I'm like, yo, fuck you people. You don't know shit. I was like, I literally took an air conditioner out of a window for a bunch of morons who couldn't wait another month and a half for it to warm up. Because you people couldn't fucking help them insulate the shit. When they asked multiple times to have it insulated before I got there. I didn't know this. Like, I didn't know any of this shit till after. And I'm just like, you people fucked me out of everything. And now you're fucking me out of my job. I was like, this is fucking crazy, man. I was like, I couldn't believe the level of disrespect just from everything. And that's really, I hate to keep bringing up Stone Cold, where I literally heard the Stone Cold glass break in my head and all that anxiety, all that depression that I was able to just kind of push out of the fucking way because I was wrestling. I was doing the things that kind of cleared my head. It was literally taken from me now. Like I walked away in 2012 because I walked away because angry. I didn't walk away on my own terms.
Yeah.
I wanted to continue to wrestle, but I walked away because of bullshit. So when I was finally ready to come back, now it's basically taken from me. And like anybody, I got bitter and I got depressed. And I just, you you lean on the thing that it numbs the pain, which was opioid pills. That's literally what I started to lean on. And I would walk around like a fucking zombie. And friends and family noticed immediately. Like it was not I was not good at hiding it at all. And it got real ugly real fast. It got to dark places. And one day my friend sit down with me and he goes, "Have you ever tried weed?" He goes, "I know it's crazy to say. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, smoke weed, it's going to fix everything." He goes, "But you've been doing all this shit with the pills and all you keep getting is the side effects." Because I really did. He goes, "Try this. It might actually work." And I said, "Fine." So you buy some. I buy a pipe or whatever. I take one hit. All the depression and anxiety went away. It literally all went away. And I called the guy, Mike Morgan, who I told to go fuck himself. And I said, "Man, I'm sorry." I said, I shouldn't have done that stuff. Like my life right now is in shambles. And right now I don't want to have malice towards people. That's really not what I'm about. Like, because I was in a very low place and I know how it feels to kind of hate yourself. And I don't really want to hate anybody else. Like, I'm just over it. I'm over being angry. I'm over hating people. I'm done with it. And that's when he had just like this long conversation with me about like, just because you can't wrestle in the ring doesn't mean you can't be a part of the business. He's like, "Come down and commentate. You were the best on the mic." He goes, "Just come and call the show and just be a part of it." And I was like, "All right, if you're willing to just kind of like let it go," because I was angry. We were angry at each other. There was a lot of cursing. There was a lot of yelling. And I'm like, "If you're willing to bury the hatchet, I can too. Let's do it." And I started commentating the shows. And while I'm there, I'm noticing that the production sucks. Like we would go backstage and have meetings. I'd be like, "Your camera guys suck. Like they don't film anything the right way." I was like, I see them like looking at the match. They're not looking at the viewfinder. How are you filming shit if you're watching the match? The camera's not on shit. And then the hard cam sucks. You got it in the wrong way. And he's like, "Listen to me say all this." And he's just sitting at his desk going like this. And he turns around and he goes, "Why don't you become the head of production?" And I like looked at him and I go, "What?" And he goes, "Become the head of production of my company. If you fix this, now you know what you need to do in the wrestling business." And I was like, "Okay." And in literally 3 months' time, he was using 2 shit cameras. In 3 months' time, I had him up to 7 cameras. I had a 7-camera shoot. The commentators were filmed. The commentators had actual headsets and fucking an actual sound thing that they can actually hear themselves and talk. I had him connected in the locker room so he could talk to us if we needed to put anything over. He couldn't believe all the level of detail that I went into shit. He was just like, "How did you know all this?" And I told him, I was like, "Because for years, all I studied was wrestling and how it's supposed to be done. I didn't care about the moves. I wanted to know how this fucking works. And now I know how it works. So now I can help you people make it work." And then I started to tell him, I was like, he had an extra room behind him. It was basically storage. I go, "Turn this into a promo room. And before the show, I'll have all these guys come in here and we will film a shit ton of promos." And he did that. And these guys would come in and I would direct them. "Say it this way. Don't say it this way. Come at him this way. Say this instead. You said this. It's good, but you should say this in terms of touch on this because he did this to you." And guys were like, "Oh, thank you, man." And I just started honing guys' promos. And then I was like, fuck this. I'm going to start training guys again. I started training people. I started teaching them. I told them, "You can learn the moves on your own time. Just come to me for character development." And that's what a bunch of people did. Jordan Oliver, I don't know if anybody knows him. He's pretty popular in the indies now. He wrestles in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I helped him with promos. He came here because he's from Newburgh. He sat with me for 3 hours just asking me about character development and what he can do and how he can better his character. And I just told him, I was like, "Buddy, you're athletic. You can do moves. Everybody knows that, but you don't know how to talk. That's what we need to work on." And that's what we're going to work on. And we worked on that. 2 months later, he was in CZW, GCW, New Japan.
Like, can I say, like, that's when I don't want to go back to Bret Hart for too long, but like that's what Bret Hart seems to still at this point not understand.
Yeah, he's very bitter.
I mean, he could wrestle.
Yeah.
He could not work a mic. He was awful.
Yeah. The two thing with Bret was Bret always was like one of those guys who's like, "Well, I'll do my talking in the ring. The wrestling will do the talking."
Yeah.
And as good as you can be in the ring and as good as a story you can tell in the ring, if you're not telling it outside the ring, the novice, the layman, they're not going to know. They're not going to know the story you're telling in the ring. I mean, they'll see a good match, but they won't know why you're fighting this guy.
There is a reason why there are managers.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Paul Heyman is the mouthpiece for certain people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing too, like he came in with Jimmy Hart. The Hart Foundation came in with Jimmy.
Yeah.
The Mouth of the South, because they couldn't speak, and they trusted Brett. Brett, listen, Brett cut a couple of okay promos. Brett had moments where the promos weren't terrible, but he did have more bad promos than good.
Okay, so yeah. I disagree. Brett would tell you what's happening, but he wasn't exciting.
Yeah. I firmly believe that
Neidhart with the Hart Foundation, Neidhart was the one that like you laughed because he had that laughing gimmick.
Yeah, well, Brett's best promo work was 1997 when he was the Crybaby. That was when he was really good on the mic because he was saying what he felt. He was saying what he felt.
So he wasn't acting.
Yeah, no, it was real.
Crying about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Shawn Michaels. What is he doing? He goes from one to another.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's jumping up. He's acting like a total degenerate.
Here's the problem with Shawn though, because Shawn would bring the shit to the ring. He would bring a lot of stuff from the locker room to the ring.
Yeah.
Like the Sunny Days comment. He did a lot of fucked up shit because in his eyes, and it was very true, he was untouchable. Because no matter what he did, Vince would never fire him. Vince was so afraid that he would go to WCW that he just basically let him do whatever the fuck he wanted. And here's the thing too, and I say this all the time. If Vince was smart, he would have let him go to WCW. Because Shawn would have been his own worst enemy there. And hanging out with Nash and Hall and drinking and getting fucked up every night, you wouldn't have gotten the same Shawn Michaels you had in WWF.
No.
He would have been a mess, and he would have been even worse to work with because now the governor is off. Vince isn't there. So Shawn's ego and attitude in WCW, he would have buried that company in 3 months. But and he would have meant to do it. It just would have happened.
You also wouldn't have had the wonderful matches that you ended up with, in the WWF.
Yeah,
but, Bret Hart, I'm sorry to keep bagging on him, he didn't have character. Scott Hall as Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon. Yeah,
I know who he is. My buddy once called him Razor Ramon or Razor Raymond, and we just couldn't stop doing it. He had he had fucking character.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people.
Austin, character.
Scott Hall was always a very underrated worker. Yes. Scott Hall was very good. Very good.
You look at The Rock. You say whatever you want about The Rock. Just amazing fucking actor.
I would compare The Rock more to Hogan because he was limited in the ring like Hogan, but was very good.
Yeah, but Hogan has one way on the mic.
So did The Rock. I mean, The Rock was always the nursery rhyme. Smell what The Rock is cooking. Stick things up your candy ass. Everybody was a jabroni. He for some reason had a fascination with monkey testicles. I never understood it.
But when he was part of the Nation of Domination, he was a completely different character.
Well, it was because he was a bad heel that couldn't cut a promo.
Yeah. But I mean, he learned. Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle was an anomaly.
Kurt Angle never should have been as good as he is.
Yeah.
We were at his first wrestling match, his first live wrestling match, and the guy that I was with. He's an MMA fighter, and Kurt Angle's getting booed because all he could do was mat wrestling.
Yeah.
Right. And my buddy's yelling at everyone like, "This guy, you kick your fucking ass." Like, I'm like, just fucking calm down, dude. Like, this match sucks. All right, I'm sorry. Kurt Angle won an Olympic gold medal with a freaking broken neck. You didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he easily could have walked away and been like, "Fuck all these people." Like, I can kick everyone's ass. But he came back as one of the greatest heels ever.
Oh, I love the
as
three eyes.
Clueless fucking heel. And I was watching The Undertaker talk about it. It's like, that guy does not get credit like he should.
No, he doesn't. A lot of these guys don't. Kurt Angle doesn't because Kurt Angle had the same problem as Shawn. He had the demon on his back. That was really what it is because Kurt was, dude, Kurt, I firmly believe was, in terms of the Attitude Era, was the best pound for pound worker next to guys like and I hate to bring his name up, but guys like Benoit, because Kurt Angle get in the ring with those guys, and those matches were, I mean, fucking stellar. They were amazing. And Kurt, for a guy who came from, amateur wrestling, who never really was a character, who never really was silly, was always a serious, just a serious wrestler, to come in there and be the silly goose, to be the lighthearted heel, where he was kind of like oblivious to everybody booing him because he was the 3 eyes and he was the first Olympic gold medalist in WWE history. His work was amazing. Because even when he first came, I was like, who's fucking Kurt Angle? Why is he already the Intercontinental Champion? He was already the Intercontinental European Champion 2 months in. They put the belts on him immediately because that's how good he was. And just like I said, when you figure it all out, and a few guys do, most guys don't. But when you figure it out, you figure it out. And it happened to Austin. Like Austin was just fucking floating around. He says, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. That was literally it. That was literally all he said. And then the next day, everybody's got Austin 316 signs. It just happens. It's just one of those things where you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to come. It just happened. Like Hogan at that time, think about it this way. Hogan is sitting in Gorilla in 1996 at Bash at the Beach thinking, I'm about to go heel. I don't know how this is going to play out. But he creates a moment in time that will never be forgotten. Like, it's just crazy to me when they take the risk and you go all in on it and you say, fuck it, I don't care what I look like. I don't care if I look like an asshole. I don't care if I look like a jerk. I don't care if I look silly. I'm going out there because I'm going to blow people's minds with the story that's about to unfold. That's when you get the best. That's when you get true art, in my eyes, in terms of pro wrestling.
So 80s Toy Boy says Hall was the best big man to never be world champion. So
I would agree.
So this is a question that I ask.
Yeah.
Height wise, this guy was not huge, but would you consider the British Bulldog a big man? He wasn't tall.
No, but he was a powerhouse. So it's kind of hard to take that away, because whenever he wrestled Sean would work him like Diesel. I noticed, like, Sean would work him like a big man because he was so strong. But he was Sean's height. He was 6'2", 6'1". Yeah, but
he was huge.
But he was a big boy. Yeah,
he could wrestle.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the biggest injustice. He never won the WWF title. Because I love the British Bulldog.
Dude, I do too. I just bought his action figure. I just bought his action figure last weekend. As soon as I saw it in the bin, I was like, "Oh fuck, Davy Boy! Let me get this one," because I loved it. I always tell people British Bulldog should have won the belt at Beware of Dog in 1996.
Well, it was named after him.
Yeah, and lost it, and then just lost it to Sean at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
that same year. I just firmly believe you should have thrown a complete swerve at people, because even by June or by May, Sean's title run wasn't really working. It just wasn't drawing money. So I would have shocked everybody and threw the belt on Bulldog, especially when you tied around that whole Sean trying to fuck Davey Boy's wife into the storyline. It was a whole fucking angle that they did. So I just think the British Bulldog should have won the belt. I think he would have gained a lot more heat, because he was with Clarence Mason too. They had him set up. He was with Jim Cornette. He had every heat magnet you could possibly think of. So it was prime for him to be a champion for at least, like I said, 2 to 3 months, just to see how it works. I believe the Bulldog deserved it that much.
Oh, he deserved it. And this kind of makes me laugh, because I think back, because I love the British Bulldogs.
Yeah,
they're my favorite. They're my favorite tag team of all time. And I just remember thinking, like, Dynamite Kid was small. And then I look back and I'm like, dude, Dynamite Kid was fucking huge.
The Dynamite Kid he built just like
he went to the fucking ring with a needle sticking out his fucking ass of steroids. Like, hey, you forgot to take your fucking steroids out.
Yeah, dude, he was
Dynamite
Kid definitely had a problem.
Oh yeah. All right. So you continue in wrestling.
Yes, sir.
Doing promotions and stuff.
Production, yeah.
Which are you still doing this now?
Yes. I started a company. So right after the whole thing with Ace, I said to my buddy Matt, he was like, yo, we should do this. We should make this like a business and start going to all the companies, other like promotions and shit. And I was like, all right. So we're trying to come up with a name. And then a bunch of other guys wanted to come in on it, and they wanted to do like different kind of content, not just wrestling content. Like one guy wanted to do video game streams. Another guy wanted to do comedy skits. Another guy wanted to do podcasts. So I was like, all right, we'll all get together. We'll create this production company, and that's, we'll do it all. We'll throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. And we named it False Finish Productions. It's a wrestling term.
I know this now.
Yeah. I was like,
because someone emailed me for stickers, but didn't say who they were.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry. Yeah. So I was like, we named it a bunch of things, and either the name was already taken or I just didn't like it. And one afternoon, I'm just looking through just a list.
I'm sorry. Ouch. Clint Jorgensen, Bulldog married Brett's hottest sister, and Bull took the slump buster.
Jesus, but that whole family's involved in wrestling. If the daughters married wrestlers, and then the rest, all the sons became.
I don't want to get too much into this because we haven't even got the toys yet.
Yeah.
Or your YouTube.
Yeah.
But I don't know why anyone wants to be involved with that family. They are fucking cursed.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people that that trained with them, to the ones that married them, to the actual fucking. Bret Hart's the fucking only one that seems to be that was in wrestling that survived, and we know his fucking story.
And he's just bitter. He's very bitter, man.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that just won't let go. And it's because he's holding on to the what if I didn't get hurt? What if I was still in WWF at the time? What if? And years go by, and now he's an old man, and he's just bitter.
But when you think about all the people that trained with the Harts,
yeah,
the Bulldogs, Anvil, Pillman, Benoit,
yeah,
obviously Owen.
Yeah, the only two that are survived and doing okay or well is Chris Jericho and Lance Storm. Like Lance Storm was the last graduate.
Now did Jericho fully train with them? I know
he did and he didn't. He went. I forgot who it was. One of the Hart brothers had a school, but they never really came to train. He was just training with another wrestler, and he trained with Lance. Him and Lance really worked together. They came in as a tag team. But yeah, he and then of course the real last couple ones that came out were Davey Boy's kid, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Natty Neidhart's daughter, and her husband TJ Wilson, or I forgot the guy's work name, but they were like the last group of Dungeon.
Still married to him?
Yeah, that's still.
There are rumors that he's kind of
well, he plays for both teams.
No, abusive.
Oh, that I don't know. I don't like.
Okay.
I don't follow.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
No.
I
Tyson
thought there
Kidd,
was.
thank you. Yeah.
I thought so, not even a rumor. I thought something had come out that.
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
I don't want to spread any. So I must be thinking of someone else. So
yeah, because I think he's an agent now for WWE. I think he works backstage.
Okay.
He had a sad story, man. He was a good worker and got a shit end of the stick. He got an injury, a nagging injury that he just couldn't get over. But he was a good worker. I would put him up on the same level. Had he not gotten hurt, he would have been like Dolph Ziggler, like a guy who sticks around, puts guys over, is like a measuring stick. He comes back, he tells you if a new guy is worth keeping or not. Like I felt that him. What happened?
Towards the end of when I was watching wrestling, I remember Dolph Ziggler, and that guy got the short end of the stick because that guy had talent.
Yeah, Dolph was good. Dolph was a
talent. He had the body.
Yeah.
He could work a mic.
Yeah.
And it was when they brought in Mr. Perfect's kid, and I was like, if you should have said anyone was worth, even though that was Mr. Perfect's kid.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
You should have said Dolph Ziggler was Kurt Hennig's son because he looked.
Especially when the fact that the kid winds up naming himself after his grandfather.
Yeah.
It just made no sense. I don't know. They just fucked that up because a lot of these kids, they don't want to be named after their namesake because the shadow that they cast. It's hard to live up to that. And sometimes you need to because it's obvious. You need to be. But that kid was far from perfect. That's why he could never live up to his dad. His dad, to me, is one of the most underrated guys ever. That guy, I firmly believe, should have been champion at some point. He was so good. Kurt Hennig, yeah, he was so good. So good.
Well, he had his own problem. Same with, I was just watching a thing on Rick Rude. And I used to think Rick Rude was like, when he was like fighting the Ultimate Warrior, I used to think like he was muscular but small.
Yeah.
Now I look back at Rick Rude and I'm like, he was fucking giant.
He was a jack dude. He was a legitimate tough guy who could fuck you up. They said a few times he humbled the Warrior in the ring because the Warrior would get too stiff. And Rick Rude, he didn't play that shit, and he would humble him real fast.
You know, I was watching stuff today because it popped up on YouTube, so I was watching, and I'm sorry, every time I see him wearing someone's wife.
Oh, Jake the Snake's wife. Yeah,
you're just like, that is the ultimate insult.
Yeah.
I mean, just so awesome.
What a great heel. Just come out in the ring and just tell everybody he's going to show the ladies what a real sexy man looks like. That's all he had to say. And those guys would boo the shit out of him, man.
I always laugh because he was insulting all the overweight fat guys, and he's sitting next
Bobby the Brain.
He's sitting next to Bobby the Brain, who is that guy out there.
Yeah. I love Bob, man. Bobby the Brain, he will always go down in my book as the greatest manager of all time. I love Bobby.
Oh, I didn't realize Dolph was the TNA.
Yes, but Chris, I mean, he's the champion, but like WWE now is working so closely with TNA to the point where they're basically signing wrestlers while they're under contract with TNA. They just basically worked out a deal with Joe Hendry.
I thought TNA. Oh no, Ring of Honor got bought by.
Oh yeah, Ring of Honor is bought by AEW. Yeah. The TNA right now is smart. They're working side by side with NXT, which is WWE's developmental. So WWE is now giving them guys a rub. They got Joe Hendry on there. They had Moose. They had a couple of other wrestlers on there. And it's smart that TNA is working with them and not the other idiots, because this is actually working. This whole TNA NXT thing, it's actually getting some traction. So I'm glad to see that it's working. I'm glad to see WWE is coming out of that bullshit where they won't work with nobody. They won't give people the rub. Man, that was Vince McMahon's bullshit. Like, I'm happy that Triple H is like allowing these, and now he's allowing guys to keep their name when they leave. You can go ahead, take it. We don't give a fuck no more. So that's pretty cool too now.
Yeah, I do understand why Vince McMahon didn't let you.
Well, it's, intellectual properties. He keeps all the money. I get it. Yeah.
And that always drove me nuts about Bret Hart, where he thought that he should own the rights to all his matches, and it's like,
no.
Sorry, Barry Sanders doesn't own the rights to all his fucking runs. To NFL.
No, yeah. That's property of WWE, man. Yep. That's in their archives, man. But listen, I would just be happy that he contributed in the way that he did. But he's just so bitter. He just can't see that part. Yeah.
He was a great wrestler. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Yeah.
I just think in his mind, I just think he's the most overrated there is, the most overrated there was, and the most overrated there ever will be.
It's easy to say that because of the amount of talent that was around when he was around, because there was so many good guys that he was so, I don't want to say forgettable, but because you had Shawn, you had Nash, you had Hall, you had Hogan, you had Savage still around. You had all these guys who were so fucking talented and so good that just completely cast a shadow over him. It didn't matter. And the reason he couldn't get out was because he didn't ascend to the next level, whether it was promos or whatever it was, because his wrestling ability was there. It was spot on. Never has to be questioned. It was everything else that he didn't work on. He didn't want to work on.
And that's what I feel like he was a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
He could wrestle. Chris Benoit was the same way.
A lot of those Canadians are like that, though.
You know?
Lance Storm was like that, too.
Yeah, he could not work a mic. But his wrestling ability, and he also could do high flying, something Bret Hart didn't do. I'm not saying he couldn't.
Whenever Benoit grabbed the microphone, I literally would just mute it, because I just didn't give a fuck what he had to say. I really didn't care. I'm like, Benoit, shut up.
Then you have Chris Jericho show up.
Oh, God, then I'll be all ears.
Jericho equals ratings.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's all I remember.
But when I'm training this kid, Felix, right? And he's in the ring with me, and I'm running him through some drills, and I explained to him about Chris Jericho from WCW, and he goes, "Well, he was in WCW," and I literally that's when you start to realize how old you are, you know. And I just look at him, and I go, "You don't know about the list of 1,004 golds?" And he just looked at me and he goes, "What?" And I go, "Buddy." I go, "Yeah." I go, "Buddy." I go, heel Chris Jericho in WCW was probably some of the greatest promo work I have ever seen in my life. It was some of the funniest. Dude, he went backstage and grabbed a truck driver and turned him into a manager that got over. He got Rufus, whatever his fucking name was. He got some fat truck driver. He drove the ring from show to show, made him his manager, and got him over. It was crazy. It was crazy, man.
Chris Jericho, he was one of those guys that WCW was going to hold down And he said, well, then fuck it. I'm just going to do what I can do.
Yeah. And when he got to WWE, he had heat. Because when he first came to WWE, he didn't know about the bump and feed. He didn't understand that. WWE is literally bump and feed. And what that means is you take a bump, you get your ass back up, and you feed back in. It's just bump, bump, bump and feed. Okay? WCW was bump and sell. So WCW, you bump and you stay down and sell because it's old timers. They're just telling the old style. So Jericho comes to WWF. He doesn't know that. So he's bumping and selling. So they think he's sandbagging them because he came from WCW. So now he's got all this heat. That's why they put him in the feud with China for the Intercontinental Belt. Because people had fucking heat with him. So what do? They feed him to a woman. They're like, shut the fuck up. Go here. Fight. And then he makes it work. He actually makes it work. And they go, all right, he's pretty good. And he figured it out. Somebody sat down and told him, like, yo, you need a bump and feed. Instead of just shunning him out because he was from WCW. And then he becomes, Chris Jericho that we know and love now from WWF. I mean, it was
the Lion Tamer.
No, not the Lionheart or whatever his fucking name was.
Oh, that's what it was.
Lionheart. Lion Tamer was his move. Yeah.
And he became one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, man. By the way, his heel run in 2008 when he wore the trunks and talked real slow was probably his best work ever.
I'm trying to think.
If you haven't seen it,
I think I was still watching at that time.
2008, Chris Jericho, when he goes heel and he throws Shawn Michaels into the TV, and he punches Shawn Michaels' wife legit in the face, and they fight each other at SummerSlam. It was Chris Jericho's best character ever. It was. I mean, the promos were great. His matches, his feud with Shawn Michaels, as good as the WrestleMania 19 match was, his feud with Shawn when he went heel that time and he had the trunks, unbelievable. That ladder match where Shawn actually knocks his tooth out, it's fucking phenomenal, man. It's real good. Yeah, real good stuff, man.
I have to watch some of that.
Yeah, it was real good.
All right, so we spent a lot of time on wrestling.
We did. Sorry.
And and people don't seem to really care. They're still.
I appreciate it.
All right, so before we get into your stuff, when did you meet your wife?
I met. Oh, yeah, she's gonna love this story. She's wild. Oh, she probably just went like this. Right. 2020 during the pandemic. I'm sitting at home.
So this is.
Yeah, this is very recent. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's gonna be real sappy. So just get ready for it. She was trying to audition because she's a filmmaker as well. So she's made a bunch of movies. She's at her own channel, Crown Fox Productions, as you can see. So she's got a bunch of great short films on there. And she was casting for a short film that she was making. And it was a Peter Pan type film. And she was looking for a Captain Hook, a pirate. And I just auditioned. I got the part. And I went and I went and I was a part of her movie. It was great time. I had a great time. And that was when I first met her. And I felt something then. But for some reason, and I can't tell you why, I had this unbelievable knack that she was a lesbian. I don't know why. I just thought she liked women. I just was like, all right, this girl's not into it. She's cute. She's really nice. She's really friendly. She's amazing. But obviously, I don't want to bark up this tree because I don't want to hear it. So whatever. Nothing happens. We continue to talk for like a year and a half or whatever. I like a lot too, through text, whatever. Then one afternoon, I see her on Instagram dating some schmuck. And I'm like, what the fuck? I thought she was into girls. What the hell is this? You know? Yeah. And I got real. I'm
gonna have to have her on soon so I can hear her side of the story.
Yeah. So I'm taken back by it. I'm like, oh fuck, she likes dudes? What the fuck? So I'm a gentleman. I'm not gonna start trouble. I'm not gonna try and steal girls from guys. I don't do that shit. So I was still friendly with her. She was still friendly with me. Whatever. Find out the relationship ends. So one afternoon she asks me if I want to go for some, I ask her if we want to go for a cup of coffee. Because when I tell you I tried every subtle attempt, they want to take a walk. They want to come over to my pool. Come over. She says, I can't swim. Oh, let's go location scouting. Let's go. So she's basically, I'm assuming she's letting me down easy. She doesn't want me to get to know her. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. So one afternoon I finally asked her, hey, you want to get a cup of coffee and talk? She's like, yeah. All right. I meet her at the fucking coffee shop. We start talking, and I can immediately feel the spark. And she said one thing, I'll never forget it. She goes, "Oh, I was like, yeah, I watch a lot of comedy. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy and shit like that when in between downtime and when I'm working shit." So I said, "Yeah, I watch a lot of stand-up comedy." And she turns around and she goes, "Yeah, I love Bill Burr, who is that's my guy. That's my North Star." I tell people all the time, whenever I hear a voice in my head that's talking shit, it's Bill Burr's voice. That's who I hear in my head. So I turn around and tell her, I was like, "Man, I love Bill Burr." And at the time, I was playing a video game called Power Wash Simulator. It's exactly what it is. She was just sitting there talking. And she turns around. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm playing this game." And I go, "What game?" She goes, "Power Wash Simulator." And I just like looked at her, and I'm like, "Man, I think this girl's destined to be mine." I was like, oh, I mean, it was just too many coincidences. So I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to shoot my shot here. And just as I'm about to shoot my shot, she tells me she's going camping with some other fucking guy. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm thinking it's the end. And I'm like, so I continue to be your friend. I'm going to be your friend. Don't worry. We'll be. This was like 2021, I think. Right. So we talk. And then like, I guess a couple weeks later, that shit goes to shit. So she's single. So I'm like, either I take my shot now or I'm fucked. So I just said to her, "Hey man, I like you. I would really like to kind of like, see you and see how this goes. And, let's see what happens." She was like, "I would love that. Let's do it." And we went on a few dates. We hung out a lot. And literally it was just one afternoon. We were at a park. I'll just never forget it. And I looked up at her. She said something to me, and I accidentally just blurted it out. Like I was like, "Oh man, I love you." Like it was one of those. It wasn't even like it wasn't like some sappy shit in the rain where I made out with her. I just looked up. I was like, "Man, I love you." And then she like looked at me. She goes, "Oh, we can say that to each other now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And it was just like in that moment, I knew. I was like, "Man, I'm probably gonna marry this girl." But I was still on the fence. And then she turned around to me and she's like, "Yo, let's go toy hunting." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Let's go toy hunting." I was like, "Okay." And we went to the store and she started finding shit for me. Dude, there was one time I was homesick. She door dashed me food from her house. And I was just like, man, this woman is rare. You don't find women like this every so often. And I knew right then and there, I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. This girl's mine. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. And, so I told her like, "Yo, I want to be exclusive. I don't want nobody else." She said the same thing. And we were dating for like a year. And I just was like, "Yo, I want to marry you." So I just put a ring on her finger. And that was it. I'm one of those guys where I know what I want when I want it. And I don't give a fuck. Like if I know when I make my mind up, like that's it. I was like, I was against marriage my whole life. I thought it was a waste of fucking time. I thought it was, I don't need to get a piece of paper to show people that I love you. That's what I always used to say.
I've said that for years.
When I met this girl, I just was like, that shit doesn't matter. I want to spend my life with this girl. That piece of paper matters to me. And I never felt like that before in my life. So I was like, it was one of those things where like, you watch the dumb movies and people go like, "How do you know you're in love?" And they say all the songs make sense. Right. And like all this shit makes sense when you watch it now. And it was for the first time in my life, I started listening to love songs. I started watching movies, sappy movies, and the shit made sense to me. I'm like, oh, that's what you're supposed to feel. Because for years, I was just this angry fucking guy that just hated everybody. And it was just crazy, man. She did. Yeah, she did. She tells me all the time. She said, "I thought my cats were going to eat me."
They will. They will. I think they say a dog will wait like 36 hours before it starts, and a cat waits like 36 minutes.
Yeah. Cat's like, "Ooh, food." All right.
So I got to ask this question. You thought she was a lesbian.
Yeah.
So does that make you feel like maybe you're a little bit more feminine than you thought? Or do you think that she'd be into butches?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I fucking went there.
Yeah, that's a good question, bud. I guess I would have to go with the first one. I was probably a little bit more softer than I gave myself credit for. I thought I was this, hard-nosed Italian that didn't take no shit. And then I met her and I became this big fucking softy. Like a big fucking teddy bear, man.
I love it. Hey, I've been single for 8.5 years.
Oof.
I mean, I've dated some, but my kids have never met anyone that I've dated.
Yeah.
Since their mom and I split up, and I had other, I had other things to worry about when we split up. Like my kids were young, so I didn't. And then I wanted to skateboard, like, so I never got back. I never really got back into the dating scene.
I see.
The last girl I dated had some red flags, and when I kind of told her, "Hey, I kind of got to stop right now because she's going out with my son," the red flags came out, and I went, "Well, thank fucking God, you fucking told me this right now," because."
Listen, don't get me wrong. She's a fucking psycho. She's a pain in my ass at times, but she'll be the first person to say it because listen, I'm a pain in the ass too. And this is very true. She hated being a girly girl. Now I got her in dresses and all kinds of shit. It's like, you mean, like, it's one of those things where, like, once you meet the person you kind of know that you're supposed to be with, all that bullshit that you hated and you thought was shit kind of just makes sense. It's okay to do now. It's like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like I tell people all the time, man, you can sit here and tell me, oh man, you, because me and my wife, she's always with me on the live stream on Sunday. I always have her here because she's a big help because I get nervous. I don't know what to say. Like when I look at the number, I don't know how many people are going to show up. And when people show up, I get nervous because I don't know what to say. To be able to look over and see her on the couch and just talk to her made my life so much easier. And she's just been like I said, she's been my rock. And like I said, did not expect it. It literally came out of nowhere because I was not looking. When I tell you, I was like you, but I gave up. I was like, fuck this. I don't give a shit. I don't need nothing. I got toys. I got the wrestling business. I'll be okay. And then she just kind of walked into my life and completely floored me.
So I like to ask how do they support your habit? Like, how are they accepting of it? But you said right away, or no, she said that her dad is also a collector.
Yes. So it was very easy. When I told her, it's funny too, because she came to my house one time to borrow a sound recorder because she was filming a wedding. So she brought her father with her. And we were talking in the driveway, and he just kind of mentioned that he collects Hot Wheels. He's a big Hot Wheels guy. Among other things, he collects like robots and shit like that. So I said to him, I was like, I got an extensive action figure collection if you ever want to come check it out. And he was literally sitting in the driveway. He's like, what about now? And I was like, oh, it's like, come on in. So I brought him in. I showed him everything that I have. He was blown away by it. And we had a great conversation, me, him, and her, and they left. And I come back inside. My boy was hanging out with me because we were watching football. And he goes, yo, if you wanted to date that girl, you got her. And I said, what? He said, if you want to date that girl, you got her. I said, how do you know? He goes, her father loves you. Like, her father is all in. He was like listening to the stories. He was laughing. Like, if you want this girl, you usually have to win the father over. He goes, you're already there. He goes, you already did it. And as soon as she told her father that she was dating me, he literally was like, I love Tony. He's so great. And I was just like, I guess son of a bitch, that fucking guy was right. I was like, God damn, dude. But yeah, she's so supportive. She buys, like, she'll pre-order things for me. Like, I'll send her something. I'll be like, check this out. And she'll be like, it's pre-ordered. It's coming when it's coming. I'm like, oh, thank you. You're the best. Just recently, like, I went and purchased the Luke Cage Iron Fist 2-pack, not thinking that I had gotten it. And all along, she had already pre-ordered. It's on its way. And I didn't even know. So I got I was like, babe, you're the best, man. I was like, God damn. I was like, I couldn't ask for a better partner in crime. Like, or no bullshit. Like, I know she's in the chat room. I'm not blowing smoke up her ass. I tell her this all the time, man. She's the absolute best.
No, hey, dude, that's fucking great. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't hate love. I just I don't look for it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't look for it anymore. I always tell people, I have a hard time meeting people.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem getting someone to like me. It's getting someone to be willing to open up. And you've seen me more than enough, and you can probably figure out, well, yeah, you're kind of rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I don't like doing the bullshit. I don't like faking being nice to people just to fucking be nice.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Dude, I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm always civil. Like, if you come up, you say hello to me, I say hello to you, stuff like that. But like, I'm one of those guys I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke. I'm not going to sit here and be, I always say this, dude. I live in a bubble. Okay. This is my bubble. and there's only but so room for bullshit in this bubble. So I got to deal with my bullshit. I got to deal with my I got to deal with my friends' bullshit, my family's bullshit, my mother and father, and then I got to deal with her bullshit too. So it's like we have all our bullshit in this little bubble. I don't have time for anybody else's bullshit. So it's just one of those things where it's like, be real with me, and I'll be real with you. We don't have to sugarcoat shit. We don't have to lie. We don't have to fucking be fake to each other. You don't like me? That's fine. You don't like what I produce? You don't like how I do shit? That's fine too. I really don't give a fuck, because at the end of the day, I say this all the time on my channel. I don't make content for anybody but myself. Like really, like this is literally just for me. Like the whole YouTube thing started because I just went down a rabbit hole with action figure photography, and I loved it so much that I wanted to give it a shot. And I had a bunch of shit up here that I just wanted to get out of my head onto paper or video, and that was it. I never intended it to grow to the level that it's growing. I never intended to make the amount of friends that I'm making. It was just me trying to just get shit out. It even got to a point like, dude, there's people that used to watch, like I would post videos and I would premiere them and thinking no one's watching this shit. And it turns out people were watching it and thinking that I wasn't talking to them. Like they thought it was a live video and that I was ignoring them and no-selling them. And all the while I would just post and leave. Like I wouldn't even, like I just wouldn't even watch. I wasn't even paying attention because I just think nobody's watching this shit. I don't give a fuck. And I went into a chat room one time. It was a live stream just like this. And my wife was like, start saying something. Speak. You're in here. You're talking to me. Like I was listening to what they were saying and I was turning to her and telling her what I thought. And she's like, chat. Talk to them. They'll understand what you're saying more than I will. And I was like, hey, you're right. And I just started to talk and it was just, that's how it went. I just started making friends with people in the chat. I'm like, oh, okay. This is a lot more fun and a lot more easier than I thought it would be. I just didn't expect it to be this easy. Because like I said, when you have, whether it's anxiety, social anxiety, depression, whatever it is, in the back of your mind, all you keep hearing is nobody gives a fuck about you or your opinion. Nobody cares what you got to say. Nobody cares what you made. Nobody cares what you built. Nobody cares what you bought. And you just get to a point where you believe that shit and you just go along. It wasn't until my wife told me to shut the fuck up and speak up, talk to people about what you love, and you'll realize that you have a common denominator there, and you'll realize that you're not alone, that everybody kind of suffers from the same thing, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever it is. We all have shit. We all have our bubble of shit that we deal with, and we can all relate. So just speak up, and they'll learn your story, just like you want to learn theirs. Because I was telling her then about talking figures, because that didn't even happen yet. And I was like, I want to start a podcast where I can just talk to people and get to know them, because I don't want to be alone in this toy world. Dude, with the exception of my one friend, Artie, nobody collects toys. So I can't talk to nobody. And when I talked about toys, and if that's all I'm talking about, no one wants to. People are like, all right, it's a toys. I don't give a shit. So it's like to come here and to find people that all want to just talk about toys, whether it's bullshit, drama, whatever it is. The common thing what everybody has here is toys, and that's the one thing I love, and it's one of the things I'm passionate about, and I will always gladly talk to anybody about it. So to find all you guys, like it was a godsend. It really was, because it's helping me get past the social anxiety. It's helping me understand that I can beat this shit. This shit won't beat me. Like if I can get on a thing like this with you, talk for 3 hours as if we've been friends for years, then social anxiety can't win. I won't let it win, because I can do shit like this. I've proven now to myself that I can talk to strangers, that I can hang out with people at conventions and be cool. So like the social anxiety thing is it's just a hurdle. You just got to jump over it. And that this whole thing, this whole community, Toyverse, whatever you want to call it, that this place taught me that. It basically is helping me through my social anxiety. And like I said, all I can say is thank you to everybody, because it truly is humbling to see how quickly your mindset can change when you start to just be around positivity and be around good people. Whether or not you're considered an asshole, whatever it is.
Me?
Anybody. Anybody. Like, you know? The fact that you could come on here and talk like this on a forum, what more can you ask for? Look at all these people that are willing to come sit with us and listen. It's worth it to me. It made me realize that anything can be conquered. Anything can be handled if you just learn. You just got to learn. And everybody's method is different. This is my method. I'm not going to tell you that my method works for you. I smoke a ton of weed and I talk to these guys and I become friends with them just because I can finally be myself. That's literally all it is for me.
All right, 1 second here. So Pop Blender has donated a membership.
Welcome to the Creamery.
For Clint Jorgensen, and then he also...
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
Dropped a $5 super chat. Thank you. A legend is a legend. Crown Fox is a legend. Both of them have been so generous with their time to me. Good people recognize good people.
Absolutely, man.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate Pop when he brought me on his show, because he was like one of the first guys to bring me on to a live, and I got to hang out with a bunch of guys in the community and shit like that. And you can become friends with them. Like, I'm friends with Grievance now. At least I like to consider you, Grievance, a friend. I hope we are. But it's nice to talk. Like, Shane hit me up, Same Time Toys hit me up today to ask me some advice on action figure photography. So it's nice. It feels good. It feels good to talk to guys about the stuff that you love, man. It's good. I like it, man.
No, it does. It bothers you when some people do shit that they shouldn't and don't ask you what their opinion is. You guys can probably figure out who I'm fucking talking about, Ron. Anyway, no, I mean, people hit me up about YouTube all the time.
Yeah,
so much time watching and trying to learn what helps grow a channel. And it's not just, again, I say grow a channel, but it's like your channel grows by giving people something better.
Yeah.
Giving them a better experience.
Yeah.
At the same time, for me, like what I do for who I am, I listen to what people like. There's a reason why my reviews are just very basic. They're raw. They're not very edited. That's what people want to hear from me.
Yeah, they want to hear
see a very heavily edited one, then you can watch Articulated Ninja or the dude that poses everything.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. The guy that does amazing poses. The Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
There are guys that do wonderful stuff. You want to see just plain and simple what the fucking figure is? Beast Battleground, right?
Yeah.
So you listen to that stuff, but then you also you watch all this stuff and you're just like, okay, I need to always be evolving, but at the same time, I need to know what I'm doing. Yeah, and I think you're doing a wonderful job with your stuff.
I appreciate you.
You're very chill. Like, you go longer than I do.
I do.
You have no topic. You're just chatting. I think it was Tony that I go, if I was that chill, I could probably go 12 fucking hours.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking, I'm 3.5 hours, and at some points my fucking blood pressure is probably 200 by fucking 1.
Dude,
that's not even when I'm mad. All right.
Yeah. I do. And when I started the live stream, I just didn't. I had no expectation of what was to come. Like, when I did it originally, I was like, all right, I'm gonna build dioramas live, and I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. Like, it just, because then I'm not really paying attention to the camera. I'm like not paying attention to the chat. I'm not really doing it. I'm just looking at this thing, and I was just like, all right, well, I don't want to do toy news because that's done. Everybody does that, and I don't want to just seem like I'm copying everybody, because everybody who does it, like you, Jerk, all those other guys, you guys have it down. There's no, there's no reinventing the wheel there. It's perfect. You guys, this is what's coming out. What do you think? Let's talk about it. And I like all that stuff. So it's like, I don't want to be just oh, he just does that on Sunday when I could just watch Punk on Monday, or he just does that on Sunday. I just watch Jerk on Thursday. I really don't need to see all this. So I thought to myself, like, when me and my wife were talking about it going live, I said, man, I just want you to feel like you came to my house and I cooked you a bunch of food, and we're just sitting there having some drinks, eating some food, just shooting the shit, just joking with each other. Like, that's really what I want. I didn't want everybody to just be like, this is what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be toys. It's going to be topics. It's going to be this. I smoke while we're on. Like, I shut the camera off so you can't see it. And then, now I'm a little baked. So now the governor's off a little bit. And that's where the voices came from. Like, it was just one of those things where it was just, I do all this shit with my wife every day. Like, the shit you guys get on Sunday, my wife gets on a 24-hour-a-day basis. Like, I am never serious. I tell my wife all the time, the world sucks. It's a shitty place. That's real. That's what we have to deal with. When I come here, when I'm on this shit, I want to be a silly goose because I want you to just check out like I want to. I don't want you to think about real shit. I just want you to be happy and fun. It's nonstop. She tells me all the time, can you for once be serious? Like, she says this to me all the time. She goes, every little thing. She'll like hug me to try to get cute. And then all of a sudden I'll hit her with like some pimp voice. Like, I'll be like, come on, baby. You like that, don't you? And then she'll be like, stop talking to me like that. And it's just one of those things. Can't you be serious just for 10 minutes? And I go, no, because when I walk out the door, I got to take my father to dialysis 3 days a week because he's got kidney disease. I got to take my mother to fucking appointments because she's got liver disease. And she's got a broken arm and torn ligaments and shit like that I got to take her back and forth to physical therapy. That's real. Like, that's real. And it sucks. I have social anxiety, I have depression. I have physical problems that still haven't gotten fixed. That's real. That's real life. And I deal with that every day of my life. So when I'm with her, when I'm on here, I don't want to think about that shit. I don't want to be real. I want to be funny. I want to be silly. I want you guys to laugh. I want to keep you entertained. I want you to come off the stream going, that was a fucking good time. I don't know what we talked about, but it was a good time. That's literally all I want, man.
And see that I love that people can have. I love that people can have a different stream than others.
Yeah,
and still be entertaining. Because I said before, not trying to compare myself to Captain America, but often I feel like him when I go, I wish sometimes I could just not say something. But if something fucking bothers me, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
And again, people have made it clear that that's one thing they like to hear.
Yeah.
Right? People show up, they're entertained by me. They love when I'm on fucking steroids and I fucking go off on someone. But at the same time, your show is completely different.
Yeah.
People are just as entertained.
Yeah.
We're both doing solo shows.
Mm-hmm.
Although you have your wife you're at least talking to. I'm talking either to this or to my dog. or sometimes my daughter when she comes in and doesn't give two shits that I'm fucking live. But if everyone had the same fucking show, you're right. Like, there would be no reason. And
no, that's the thing too. Like, I always think to myself, like, I love watching your stream on Monday. I love watching Jerk's stream on Thursday. I love watching, Ninja whenever he goes live. I love I watch the 3 POAs, not all the time, but enough to know what's going on. I just like to know what's going on in the toy world. Like, I like to know pre-orders. I like to know what's coming out. And you guys all deliver that very well. So to me, it was just like to do the same thing that everybody's doing. It's just like watching a rerun. You're just watching the same thing. So I was like, when you come to me, you're just like, trust me, you don't know who the fuck is showing up on Sunday. It could be Macho Man. It could be Skeletor. It could be the old lady from Staten Island. I do a voice sometimes about like an old lady. There's this old lady. I remember when I lived in Middle Village. This old lady had this voice, and it used to make me laugh all the time. It was that, that Smoker's voice like this. Just go give me a pack of Pall Malls. Like, it was like that. I
think I work with her.
See, everybody has one. Everybody has one. So like, you'll get that. You'll get all kinds of crazy. Dude, there was one time the whole episode was talking about my wife's period. That's all it was. We were just talking about how women are crazy when they bleed for 7 days. It was just, it's just outlandish shit, man. It's crazy.
But here's the whole thing when it comes to live streams. And I didn't know this when I started.
Yeah.
And I have made my live streams so it's people can listen to it on the replay, even though if I'm talking, and people for some other reason they want to hear what I have to say. I think maybe they want to hear me fuck up words because I can't say words. I can't say fucking names or whatever. Half the shit I don't fucking know. But if you find a way to make your live streams rewatchable, so people can so many people watch it on, on the replay. And, my job is not to make, especially on Monday, it's not to make people not tune in and watch you guys on Monday, because you guys are going up against me. Once 9 o'clock rolls around. My job is to make people want to tune in and watch me, whether it be live or on the replay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to ever take away from watching someone else. I don't really give a shit, right?
Yeah.
But can you watch it on the replay on Tuesday? I look at the numbers. I see it. I see how many people watching on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and all the way up to the next Monday. And you seem to have the exact same thing. Yeah, I didn't plan on that.
Yeah, I was one of those guys where, like, I was like Savage, where he said last week on your thing where he wanted to go live, and he was trying to pick a day, and because so many people are doing it now, there's not much you can do but overlap. It's just you have to accept it. Like, I know plenty of people who go live on Sunday, and listen, nothing against them. I hope you don't take it as a slight. I'm not trying to compete with you. It's just there is 7 days in a week. We only got but so many hours in those days. I pick 8 to whenever. It's usually 8 to 12. I usually go about 4 hours, 20 minutes. But you know
what that means.
Yeah,
I at least know that. I mean,
but again, when you come in, it's just anything. Like sometimes I'll show dioramas I'm working on. Sometimes I'll just open action figures for fucking 3 hours and just play with the toys and just laugh and joke about whatever the fucking character that I'm opening is. Sometimes it's just me sitting here with my wife and Felix, and we're just shooting the shit and laughing. And like I said, everybody comes in, they all partake, they all share their thoughts, their feelings, and we have a fucking blast, man. I've made so many friends just from that. Tony's Figs is one of them. He came in the stream, talked, we talked some more. We started talking in other chats like your chat and everything else like that. Next thing you know, he came on Talking Figures. And like now I can consider him a friend because of just this stuff, like just chat rooms that he would come in and we just started talking, and it became like, we got to Talking Figures. And then once I came in the room, that level of nervousness is kind of gone at that point. It's like Mython. When Mython came, I was talking to Mython a bunch, whether it's in chats, and then we got each other's number and we started texting. When he finally came on Talking Figures, it was like my best friend was coming on at that point, because we had already established a friendship, whether it's in the chat, whether it's just through DMs or texts. You just eventually become friends with these people, and it's easier to talk to them. And like I said, I can't thank it's literally doing this. You bringing up the chats and people get to know me and shit like that. Now, like I said, hopefully, some of these guys come on Sunday when I'm live. Come hang out, because it's a great time. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. So far, you can ask anybody else who in this chat room comes on Sundays, man. I know that's what she said. That's what everybody's gonna say. But we have a good time, and I promise you, you will too.
Do you want it?
That's what she said.
But again, like, I didn't know what I was doing. The only thing that I knew when I did live streams was I was picking a day that I knew that I could go on and what time, and it was going to be consistent.
Okay.
Consistency is king.
I
didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it, and it's evolved over it. I can say this. The only reason why I started doing YouTube reviews was because I got these classified figures. I take that back. I guess I had done some of the retro vehicles, but the classified, which I knew very little about, was I had the original figures and I was comparing them.
Yeah.
You can watch those old videos and be like, God, I don't even know how anyone watched it, because I didn't understand. I could move the camera. I could edit the camera. I could do all, you can do things, even the little bit amount that I do.
Yeah.
But I leave them up there because if anyone's like, you already know how to do all this. Well, you can go back and see I didn't.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, we all started somewhere.
Dude, yeah, you all start from the bottom. Everybody starts from the bottom. Even when, like, my wife has this problem. Like, she'll start something and get mad that she's not good at it in like 3 hours and then want to like stop. And I always tell her, like,
son.
Yeah, I tell her, like, a hobby is just being really bad at something for a very long time until you get good at it. You just don't realize it because it's fun. Just a hobby. Like, that's all it is. And then like just don't focus on the fuck ups, focus on the fun, and you won't be disappointed. And you'll just realize that would have put in months to years into it, and you got good because you just did it and didn't think about the failing part. You just did it for the fun of it.
Well, yeah, because once you succeed, I mean, I can tell you from the amount of hours you'll spend trying to land a trick skateboarding.
Yeah.
When you finally fucking land it,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, that's what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do it again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, all right, now I'm actually doing the trick, not just I landed one and we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? But all right, so we have run long.
Yeah.
I knew that was kind of the reason why I was disappointed being at 10. I'm like, fuck. I'm gonna be like going on like 2 hours of sleep. But hey, I don't have anything to do tomorrow after work. So you said you didn't know, like you just started a YouTube channel just to talk.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
What do you want from your YouTube channel now? Like, where do you want it to go? Do you have any?
Yeah, I got a few aspirations. Listen, like I said, when I first started it, it was literally just to get shit out. Like I was making stuff, whether it's dioramas or custom things. But then when I started talking figures, that was meant to just make friends. You know, then the live stream was just to kind of show people my personality. Like, because when I do talking figures, it's very straightforward. It's very just one-on-one. We don't really joke. We don't, there's really no room for like silliness because it's just real. I want to get to know the person. So I just felt
I had a good fucking time.
And that's the beautiful thing. Everybody does have a good time, and I'm very appreciative of that, But like, I tend to like, in terms of me, like I keep it very straightforward, very serious because I don't want to trail off and be silly and make people. Some people might not get it. Some people be like, "What is this? Why is it so?" Like I thought this was an interview thing. Or I thought this was a podcast. So now I started a channel membership. I've crossed the threshold into monetization, and in terms of viewership, I'm almost there with subs. I'm at 632, I think. So I'm almost there in terms of like ad revenue, I guess, whatever that. I mean, I have that with the false finish one.
Yeah,
you don't make shit. Like it's there. It's nice. Like, but it's not a lot.
I'll say this for me, it helps.
Yeah,
everything that I do through Amazon, Entertainment Earth, Hella Dope Toys, it pretty much pays for all my toys.
Yeah.
But that's again, I wouldn't say that's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, some months I pay a lot.
You get good. Yeah, well, listen, dude, I'll never forget the day the false finish channel went viral. It was a wrestling match that I posted. Didn't think anything of it. It was a women's match. The women's match sucked. So I just was like, no one's going to watch this shit. Posted it. And a week later, my phone, it's a random Sunday. I was watching football and my phone just started going crazy. Just notification after notification. I hadn't shut off notifications yet because it never went off like that. So I had no idea. So all of a sudden it starts burn. Like, what the fuck is going on? I look at my phone, and the 2 days before we had fucking like 10,000 subscribers, right? Which is which is a lot, But this video catches, right? Now watch this. This video catches on Sunday. By Wednesday, we were at 60,000. By the next Sunday, we were over 100,000. And that video was over like 5 million. Since then,
what was it? Like what
it was, dude, it was a shit women's wrestling match. I couldn't.
What made people watch it? Were they just
it got caught up in honestly,
Fox, could you hit mute so we can find out exactly what it was?
I'll tell you right now. It's a bunch of creeps in India and shit, because it wound up in a playlist in India.
Okay.
And now this was, like I said, this was in 2020 and 21. I'm sitting at 175,000 subs, and that video has 65 million views. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it.
On that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That little thing, because from that point on, that went 65 million. Then 3 other matches went right up into the millions, 10 million, 12, whatever it was. And then all that money that I had made from that bought all the equipment to start False Finish Productions. Because I never seen that much money came in so fast. I was like, what the fuck?
We're gonna
I could not believe
that.
Yeah, it was sick, man. It was real sick. But that's how I got this thing, the play button. It's from False Finish Productions. It was just like I said, you don't know what's going to hit when you post. Like I got into play motion. I know some people don't like it. I get it. I totally understand it. It's not for everybody because it's just a different art form. But that I put that on my channel. It's got 12,000 views on the Legend series. So to me, you don't know what's going to hit because I was doing stop motion figures. I'm doing diorama builds, live streams. The play motion video hit. You know, I'm posting all kinds of wrestling matches on that channel. All kinds. 2 to 3 shitty women's wrestling matches hit big. You don't know when it comes to. That's one of the things I've learned about YouTube. Just be consistent. Yes. Post. Just don't try to copy people. Don't try to be like oh, I'm going to do better interviews or I'm going to do better reviews. I'm going to do this. Don't be better. Just be you. That's it.
You know, that's I talk about that a lot. I always reference skateboarding. My kids are like, oh, I know. But I used to always say, like, I never wanted to be better than someone at skateboarding to be better than them.
Yeah.
Let's say you're better, and I'd be like, I want to be as good as him because you're that good. Not so I can say, oh, dude, I'm better than fucking Tony.
Yeah.
Just because you're that fucking good, right? Like, so you see someone that does good interviews, and I've referenced, like, a lot of the inspiration of what I did comes from Jim Rome and Dan Patrick.
Okay.
But, you know, when I used to talk to Chad, I think Chad does a wonderful job. And one of the things that he does is he's able to, I know that I remember watching some of the old stuff when I used to watch his stuff, that he'd be interviewing someone that I already know that he knows all these answers. But he realized that not everyone does.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, one of the hardest interviews that I did was with my moderator because I already know these things. Yeah. There was even one time I remember him saying, you already know this. I'm like, yeah, I do, but not everyone else does.
Yeah.
You know? No, not Colin Cowherd. I can't fucking stand that guy.
Yeah, he's the worst, dude. Come on.
Oh, fuck.
Come on, Clint.
Colin Cowherd literally is like, I was wrong, but I was mostly right.
Dude.
No, you were fucking wrong.
He's got the most ice cold takes I think I've ever heard on sports, on teams, anything like that. Anytime he clearly doesn't like New York, and he shits on every New York team. As I know I'm a New York fan. I'm a fan of the New York Giants, Mets, or whatever. Like, but the guy, he's a fucking moron. He always sucks the dick of LeBron James. It's like, shut up. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. I can't stand Colin Cowherd. Yeah, he's a moron.
I can't. I'm actually pissed because I gotta listen to it on the app. So he'll come on after Dan Patrick. If I don't get the app off fast enough, it comes on. Because then now I gotta go to Jim Rome to listen to it on the app there.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually looking to change it, but
no,
I don't want to get into fucking sports because once I start talking sports ball, people stop. You know. Anyway. All right. Well, it sounds like you're kind of like where I am. And I love, I could sit down and talk to you again about YouTube because I've learned, Bork isn't even close to being better than Lidstrom. I don't know if you're into hockey or not.
They're very little. Yeah.
Bork, he's not even on the same fucking plane as Lidstrom.
Frankie, it's sports entertainment. Remember that, bud?
Yeah. Sports entertainment. Exactly. No, it sounds like you're kind of on the same plane, but you have experience with.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the wrestling channel really helped me start this one, and I just was like, everybody. It's cool to have the plaque, it's cool to have the numbers and everything like that, but to me, it's not me. It's wrestling. Like you're going there for wrestling matches. You don't care about me. You don't like I have nothing to do with it. So to me, when I started this meant more to me because it's me. You're getting a piece of me. This isn't like I'm not just posting some silly wrestling match. Like this is me. You're getting my personality. You're getting my likes. and like, you know, it's like vulnerable. It's like very vulnerable of me to kind of like let you in. Like even on the members only shit, a lot of that is like, you know, very inside baseball. Like I show behind the scenes photography stuff now. I do live game streams with my wife where you just kind of like get in our everyday life, just getting to know me. Like that's really what, like I said, when I decided to do the membership, my wife, it was like pulling teeth because I didn't want to do it. I felt like I was grifting people. But my wife said something that stuck to me. She said, if they think you're entertaining, then they're going to want to see more. So just start the channel. You don't got to promote it. You don't got to like every day say, please follow, please join the membership, please join the membership. She goes, just leave it there and see. If they like you and they want to see more, they're going to hit that button. And they did. Some people did. And it's nice to see. You know, it feels good. You know, like you're like, oh, shit, you actually do want to see more of me. Like, because like, dude, I was worried. I was real worried because when Jerk asked me to go on their podcast, I did not want to oversaturate myself all over. And people get sick of me. And then on Sunday rolls around, they don't want to fucking hear what I got to say because they already heard it. Like I was very nervous.
This is bad coming from me considering I was live 5 days in a row last week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But I was telling Oz, I'm like, and this was a while back, I'm like, one of the issues right now, I think, you're going on everyone's fucking stream.
Yeah.
You're going on everyone's stream. So by the time Saturday rolls around, everyone's like, I've already heard what he has to say.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
I will say for me last week, I did, you know, Thursday with a friend, which is different. Then we just did Punk's Pit, which is just fucking bullshitting. Then I was on Oz's, which is another bullshitting. Then I was at Hella Dope Toys to talk about the boxes. Then I did my. So I wasn't, you know, Saturday, yes. You know, we were talking stuff. And, you know, Friday we talked more about a guy that's buying YouTube subs. And God, that was wonderful. I love that. That one was so much fucking fun. It was even more fun as we weren't saying. Were you around then? Were you listening?
I might have been when I put on the Clubhouse. I tend to because I'm in the middle of working. So
no, this was on mine. This was on Punk's Pit.
Oh, I was watching it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And finally someone started mentioning his name, and it was. And then Pop starts reading, like, I think it was Pop that was reading his fucking comments. And there were just the most generic bots that were just fucking making comments, you know? And it's like, okay, you have a video with 19,000 views and 51 comments. And they're all like the exact same comment and don't reference the video.
The video,
yeah. There was one with 15,000 views and one comment, and you could tell it was a bot. And you're like, oh my
God. That to me, that's the thing. Like, I'm one of those, like, I can't, like, I know how that works because, you know, we were thinking about doing it on False Finish before it hit. So I was just like, I feel like, this is going to sound weird, but I don't give a shit. Subscribers are like a boner. They should be gotten legitimately or not at all.
I agree.
You understand? So to me, it's like, I don't need to take Cialis or Viagra. If my dick doesn't get hard, then there's a problem. And then, I mean, I might not have, my time in the sexual world might be over. Is basically what I'm saying. So like, if you got to pay, that means either one, no one gives a fuck about your shit, or you're not promoting it the right way. You're not doing the right things.
So here's the thing when it comes to subscribers. And I've been saying this because this is exactly what other people that create content have been saying.
Yeah.
It's just a status quo. It's about getting that 1,000 so you can get completely monetized, right? But your wife might not be subscribed to me, but guess what? She's been in here, so YouTube's going to say, you want to watch his videos. Yeah. And until she decides that she's not going to watch them, they're gonna populate. She doesn't need to be subscribed.
Yeah.
And how many people are you subscribed to that you're like, holy shit, I have not seen a video. They're not doing anything. And then you click on the name and you're like, oh my God, they've been pumping out videos. But you haven't watched anything. So YouTube's like, well, you don't really want to watch it. It's like, hey, asshole, I fucking subscribed to the person.
Yeah.
I'd like to see their stuff.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So I tell everyone, I'm like, you want to get that 1,000, You obviously get the 4,000 watch hours, but then it doesn't really matter as long as you're creating good content.
Yeah.
That people tune in for. And again, there's a litany of different things to tune in for, right? Obviously, I do a lot of toy reviews.
Yeah.
Am I glad? I like. Is it good to be first or be early? Yes. Did I make out by getting this Cobra Commander with all the fucking drama going? And I put out that fucking. I knew exactly what that fucking that thumbnail, that I put on. Is it worth all the drama? And I put in the title. I knew exactly that it was going to get people to fucking tune in.
Click on it. Yeah.
I've watched enough about making thumbnails, right? I'm not the greatest, but it's open ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew what I was doing when I said I was wrong, and that's all that I put. It has over 5,000 fucking views. One reason people want to know what I was wrong about. Other people hate me, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, what were you wrong about, asshole?"
Yeah, that was just like when you did that one stream where you said putting channels on notice, and mad people came in thinking that you was gonna talk shit, and you turn around and put people over, and I kind of like, wait a minute, like that to me was one of the best streams you did, because like it baited everybody because you thought they thought you was gonna talk so much shit, and instead of talking shit, you actually put channels over and got a lot of those channels subscribers and views. Man, as most guys don't really do that anymore. They don't like. Too many guys look at this as competition. Too many guys look at this as, oh, look at these numbers. I'm a star, or I'm like a local celebrity, or whatever it is they want to look at themselves as. And I never thought of it that way. Never cared to. I just was one of those people was like, I have cool stuff in my head and I just want to share it. If you like it, awesome. I'm so happy. But if you don't, that's fine too. I don't really care. Like, because in the end, I didn't make it for you. I made it for me, and I just want to share it. And maybe somebody out there is like me, and they'll enjoy it too. That's literally all I do. I don't like. It's cool that I'm getting monetized. It's cool that I started a membership. I'm very proud of it, very very much so. But the friendships that I've made to me are so much more rewarding than any kind of dollar value you can give me. It doesn't matter.
There is no doubt about that. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And that's, that was one of the things that Tony and I discussed. Like, I really believe that if Tony and I, and Baldy too, when we went to Joe Fest, weren't like, hey, Travis, we're not here to create content. He would have wanted me to create a bunch of content, because that's what he did at San Diego Comic-Con. And I love Travis, right? I mean, I love a toy con. I really do love Travis, right? But he wanted to create content. But I think when he realized, like, dude, I haven't met people on YouTube. I have made relationships. Yeah. Some of my best friends. Yeah. Tony's one of them.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Ken from Toy Connections. He's, he's Canadian, so we have to do a calculation, just like their money, it's not worth as much. So his friendship isn't worth as much. I should talk to him for like an hour today. But I didn't have time to make content at Joe Fest. Yeah. Now I did in the morning. I did a walkthrough, but that's because I had the pass. Mm-hmm. The non-common people pass is what I call it. So I was able to just go down and do a walkthrough, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Boom, and then I did it. I put it out like on Sunday because I wasn't sleeping. Yeah. But that was the only content. And I go there like, okay, I got to remember to make content. But then you're there with your friends and you're like, dude, the last thing I want to do is get the fucking video out. Yeah. Yeah. Now next year I might be taking my kids and my son. He's like, yeah, I can video, I can do content. Well, if I have my son who doesn't really give two shits about, toys or whatever, really, and he's just kind of filming, it's a lot easier. It's not me getting something out. It's just him like doing a little bit of clips or. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't want to create content because this is a vacation for me, not a work trip. Yeah. And who knows when I'm going to see these people again? If I don't go to Joe Fest next year, I might not see these guys for 2 years or 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. One
thing I noticed, and I was thinking about doing this. You'd have to get a table at one of these places. Was doing like talking figures from the place, and then just kind of getting people walking by, or she's like kind of like how they do it during the Super Bowl with Radio Row. Where,
Yeah.
like that's kind of where I wanted to set up like a cool booth with banners and shit like that, and try to get people to come through and talk to them just live, and at least like, you can do that maybe a day or two, and then maybe enjoy the con the third day. I don't know, but I was thinking about doing something along those lines. I like that idea.
Okay, so I have two things. Mython says people are attracted to drama. I agree. They be vacuuming their grass, watching the police at their neighbor's house. I feel like Mython has seen that
meme, that funny meme. I've seen that.
We're at the end. The guy's on top of the police car vacuuming.
It goes even further to the courthouse.
Yeah, the courthouse. Oh, is your wife younger than you?
Oh yeah.
How much?
Oh yeah. She's 29.
Okay.
29.
So I feel like, because she says I'm always filming, right?
She is. Yeah, she is.
When you're 40, I'm 48. Shit, I'm not even 47. I'm 48 years old. We didn't have cameras and everything.
Yeah.
So even now, for me to ask somebody, hey, do you mind filming me do this line skating? All right.
Yeah.
I hate it. Now, I don't mind filming or being, obviously, I make a lot of videos. All right. So I don't mind being in front of the camera, but I still do feel weird doing it in public.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not for something.
Yeah.
Like there's not an actual production thing going on. I didn't feel weird doing it this weekend, with my son. He had the camera out. He's pulling people out. He's walking around. But like for me to walk through like Sergeant Reds when there's a whole bunch of people having the camera just talking, I feel fucking weird.
It's awkward
because I'm not from that generation.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why me and my wife don't do toy hunts. Like we don't film them because I cannot for the life of me walk into a store holding a camera, filming the aisle. Nothing against any of the toy hunters. I'm totally understand why you do what you do, and I respect it. But for me, I don't know if it's the anxiety thing. I don't know what it is. When I take that phone out, I immediately think people are watching me because I'm filming shit. And I just, even my wife sometimes gets like that too. She'll get the anxiety bug. I'll tell her, like, if you want to film it, film it. Like when I went to the Wayne Toy Show in Wayne, New Jersey on this past Sunday, and I met up with Yojo Jerk and Gaines, and I had never really actually met Jerk in person. It was the first time I ever met him in person. So she said,
"Where's he from?"
He's from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And she said, I'll film it. I said, okay, cool. We get down there, and again, anxiety kicks in. She got overwhelmed, completely forgot to take the camera out and film anything. Then we got in the car, and she said, I got anxiety. I didn't take the camera. I was like, yeah, it's because you don't want nobody staring at us. And she goes, yeah. I go, I understand. So I'm not even mad because I was the same way. I didn't want to film because I didn't want nobody staring at us.
I feel weird asking like to take pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's again, if you're a punk rocker, you know who NoFX is. There's a song that they talk about this guy Tony Sly, who unfortunately he OD'd. He was another punk rock singer, but the song is a song about his life.
Yeah, yeah.
And the singer talks about how after he died, he went look. He had like almost no pictures of him because it's weird taking pictures of your friends when you're hanging out.
Yeah.
And it's so true. But
yeah,
our generation is completely different. Now, I don't have a problem doing it with my kids.
Yeah.
Because like, hey, let's take a picture real quick. But I'm not gonna be hanging out with guys I skate with and be like, hey, let's go take a picture real quick. Like it seems, but they are because they're all in their 20s. Like they're all much younger than me. But my buddy Tony that I've skated with, he just turned 50. I've known him since I was like 11 fucking years old. Like I'm not like, hey Tony, let's take a picture.
Yeah.
So not that he would care, but I never see him really do it either. Though
I always notice that when the one guy does that, whatever age he is, when he holds that selfie picture up, at least this is what I do, you always get this exact image from me. Because it's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking a selfie? You're a grown man. Like, enough. Don't do that shit. Yeah. So to me, like when I'm in the store, I can't just pop the phone out and go, in Target right now, let's see what they have, and then just start to film shit. I get so embarrassed. I'm just like, no, I'll talk about it if I find something. If I find something, I'll come home and I'm like, oh, I got this today. This is cool. But I can't for the life of me be in the store filming shit.
Mython, this is said so perfectly. It's like that saying, you think pictures aren't important until it's all you have left.
No, and
But
he hit me with something, dude. It like shook me to my core about taking pictures of my my folks. Because he's like, because I spend a lot of time with my dad now, because
yeah,
he's dealing with a lot of shit. So I'm always taking him to doctors. I take him to the American Legion to hang out. So we're always like talking and she, sometimes not. My wife says something funny. She goes, "You drove him to dialysis, and you two did not say one single thing to each other." And I look at her and I go, "Well, it's an unspoken agreement that me and my father have. We don't have to speak. We just have this." Like I ask him questions, he answers. He asks me questions, I answer. But like that's it. Like we don't have this best friend thing. I look at him like my father, and he looks at me like his son. That's
so I tell my kids I love them all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think my dad has told me he loves me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think I say it to him either.
Yeah.
But I don't. We have the relation. I don't need to hear it from him. You know what I mean? Like there's no doubt that he does. He just doesn't say it. Where there's a lot of people, it's like my dad never said it. Like my dad would do anything. Like if I call my dad up right now, I'm like, I need you to do this. If he has the ability, he's going to come do it.
Yeah.
So I don't need that. Where I know a lot of people do. My son won't say it anymore.
Yeah.
My son hates us anyway, so he's at that age where he fucking hates us.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, I mean, my daughter, I always tell her I love her.
I love it. Yeah, my dad, he had a scare at the end of last year, right? So I rushed him to the hospital, and I'm hanging out with him the whole time, and he's got, I don't know what I think he took an Ambien, and it fucked with him because he didn't fall asleep. He stayed awake, so I had to rush him to the hospital. It was a whole thing, but I stayed with him the whole time. Like I could have left him there and left because he told me multiple times, just go, come back and pick me up. I said, absolutely not. You're my father. You got nobody here. And all I kept seeing in my head was my old father just sitting in this hospital bed by himself with nobody to talk to. I was like, nah, I'm sitting here. And we just sat there. I didn't say a word. I just sat there for hours. They finally discharge him. We get in the car. We drive home. He goes right to bed. He's embarrassed. He was very embarrassed by what happened. The next morning, he gets up and he comes downstairs and he says, this is the first time I've ever heard him say it. It blew my fucking mind. I couldn't believe he was saying. But he said, I've gone through this life and I have plenty of friends, but I never realized how much of a stand-up guy my son was until yesterday. He said, I love you. Thank you for what you did. And I just like looked at him and I was like, yeah, no problem, man. There was like no fucking, there was no like, I love you, Dad. There was none of that. There was just, no problem. I got you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And then he walked out of the room and I was flooded with this wave of emotion because for the first time in my life, my father actually said the words, I love you, son. And it meant the world to me. But in that moment, I couldn't look him in the face and say all that. I took it in. I shed a tear because it felt wonderful. And to hear him say that, like all these years, I've had all these friends, and I never realized that how much of a stand-up guy my own son was until yesterday. It fucking meant the world to me. Like I just like, and I tell people all the time, man, you might have shitty relationships with your parents, but you only get one set. You only get one set, and if it's shitty, I feel bad for you. Have my sympathies. I do not have a shitty relationship with either one of my parents. And when I was at my lowest with the opioid shit, they took me in, they took care of me, and they never ever stopped supporting me. So when they fell on hard times with the health issues, I gladly returned the favor. I did. I was like, yes, I will help you guys. Do not worry. It is my absolute pleasure to help you because of what you've done for me all these years. Like I said, people, cherish them, because now when I found out that my mother had, because my mother never had a drink, never had an ounce of alcohol, never. One day she accidentally gets hepatitis B from eating some bad Chinese food or some shit, and now she has cirrhosis of the liver because of it. And it sucks because I love my mother very much. I love my father very much too, and to see him go through the shit with the kidneys, it sucks, man. It sucks to have to take him to a doctor every other day, man.
Mr. Madga says you should have taken your phone out and recorded it for social media.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Pop, hold on a sec. We got to get this in a selfie mode.
My ex, she cannot say I'm sorry. So when she does, and it is so rare, I'll be like, hey, hold on. Can I get my phone out? So if you say that again, and she'll be like, and the kids will be laughing.
Yeah.
You know, like
you might, that's the thing too. Like my father was the same way. Never said sorry. Never did any, like never thanked people. Now every single day, I don't know if it's because he knows he's on borrowed time. I don't know what it is, but every single day, every single time I take him back, whether it's from dialysis, whether it's from a doctor's office, whether it's from the American Legion, the VA, he always, as soon as he comes in the house, as soon as I open the door for him, he says, "Thank you so much." I said, "No problem. Anytime. You know, it's what I'm here for." You know, I felt, like I said, I'm still hurt. I'm still dealing with it. I'm on Social Security disability. You know, I'm struggling too. So they help me. It's only it's only right that I help them. You know, like it's just the way it is, man. You take care of your family. You only get one set of family, man, and that's just the way it is.
So this from your wife saying sorry is so important. I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think saying sorry is way better. It is way more important than saying I love you, because I feel like, again, I have a relationship with my dad that if he never says it, it's not going to bother me because I've never not felt it.
Yeah.
But for people that can't say they're sorry, and sometimes I'm like that too. You know, and
we're all guilty of not saying it when we should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it is definitely one of those things where it's like, you know, maybe if my ex, not my wife, we were never married. Maybe had she said she's sorry and actually showed it, maybe things would be different.
Facts. The one thing I do with my wife is whenever we get into an argument, whenever we always work it out. Like I tell her, we're going to talk this shit out. I'm not going to bed angry because I'm not waking up tomorrow and dealing with this bullshit tomorrow. I only have, like I said, I only have enough room for a little amount of bullshit. So whatever this problem is, we're going to work it out now. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I've not said I'm sorry before. You know, and even with my son sometimes. But there have been a few times where I've, sometimes, you may not be sorry for what you did, but you're sorry for the circumstance that came about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll just say that my son and I have had a few issues because of how, and Tony knows, Tony fucking knows, not you, Tony Figs.
Yeah.
Where I've lost it and I've had to say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry that it happened. I'm sorry that it got to this point.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not an abuser, so don't think anything like that.
No, Sometimes you just say shit. Listen, my father's told me to fuck off, go fuck myself. My father said that to me multiple times.
Yeah. When you have an 18-year-old that knows everything.
Yeah. You get really annoyed by that, and I get that.
It's like, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know fucking shit.
Yeah.
Think you do. We all thought we did.
Dude. The one thing I know about young kids, and I learned this through wrestling, they always think they're smarter than everybody else. They always think they got it all figured out. And like, I never thought I'd say this. I never thought I'd be one of those fucking old men, that tells them like you shouldn't always think that you got it figured out, because there's a good chance you most likely don't have it figured out. So don't think like I'm old. Like I get into arguments with my wife all the time too about this shit, where she thinks that she knows a lot more about shit than I do, and I'm like, man, I'm older than you. I've gone through the bullshit a lot more than you have.
I know that one.
So just shut up and listen to me. My father told me the greatest advice I've ever gotten from my father is this. He said, don't be fucking stupid and shut your mouth. Don't be a problem starter. Be a problem solver. That's what you always used to say to me. Don't start no fucking problems. Fix them. And people will always rely on you. They will always come to you for help, because now they know that you don't start problems, you fix them. So I live my life by that philosophy, my whole life. I'm not going to fuck it. I'm not going to be a shit stirrer. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to start up problems or anything like that. I'm not going to do any of that shit. I will always fix the problem. So like I told you, when my wife have arguments, I say we're not going to bed until we figure this out. I don't give a fuck if we're up till 5 a.m. I don't give a shit. I have insomnia as it is. I'm already up anyway. So let's just work it out and get it over with, you know? That's just how I am. It's how I'm wired. And like I said, I gotta thank my father because he said shit like that. Like I said, be a problem solver, not a problem starter. And you'll be surprised how many people will then start to come around and want to be around you because you don't start shit. You're not a fucking dick.
No, I can believe that.
Yeah, man.
Well, I am going to because it is
Yeah, I see.
in the morning. I gotta wake up at 6:30.
Yeah.
I won't. Now I'm gonna be fucking wide awake, but it doesn't matter because I had a great fucking time. Like,
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I mean, I don't care they were in 4 hours because I could go another 4 hours.
I appreciate that.
Then you guys be watching me take a shower. No one wants to see that shit. Getting ready for work. Be like, hold on, let me transfer you in. Tony, thank you very much. Tell everyone where they can find you and when you're live.
Oh, please, thank you.
Except on Monday. Don't tell them that.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can find me at Legend Series. I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm even on the TikTok, as the kids call it. I go live every Sunday at 8:05. I do the 8:05 as a tribute to WCW, Monday Nitro. That they used to go live at 8:05 every Monday, whatever the fuck, or even the Saturday show, the Superstation. And it's a great time. Like I said, it's 8 o'clock to whenever I feel like getting off. Like the last time I went till 1 a.m. I went almost 5 hours one night because there's no governor on me. I start smoking. I start flying off the handle. The voices come, the jokes come. I literally perform in front of a live studio audience. I have my wife in here with my buddy Felix, and we just shoot the shit. So many guys that are in this chat room tonight show up, and we have a blast. So if you haven't come in on it yet, please just give me a like and subscribe. Like I said, it's Legend Series. If you like play motion, I do that. I do diorama builds, custom builds, and of course, there's talking figures where I talk to guys like Punk and everybody else in the toy community. I'm still working my way down the long list of people that I have already to speak to. I literally, before I took my father to the American Legion today, I spoke to Rocco the Great. So that episode will be coming out next week on Friday. They come out every Friday at 6 p.m. There won't be an episode this Friday because I needed to take the week off because I had a lot of shit go down with my physical health as well as my dad.
You say you spoke with Rocco or you smoked with Rocco?
Spoke.
Spoke.
Yeah. Okay. He does not smoke.
He's straight edge.
He's straight edge. Yeah.
Kind of shocked me, but that was like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh wait, you said just before. I'm like,
yeah, I spoke. Yeah, no, I spoke before it was a great conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, my channel is very, very weed friendly. So if it offends you, I apologize ahead of time. But it's a good time, man. Like I said, I'm a silly goose from the start to finish. I just did another video about with Destro. I say everybody's doing room tours. Everybody does like a room tour. They show all their toys.
Oh, I loved your little Destro thing.
Yeah, and I don't have a room set up like that. So I was just like, well, what can I do to do a room tour? And I just thought it'd be funny if I just did it with action figures. So I just did it with Destro. I thought it was hilarious. So if you haven't seen that, please check it out, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate you giving me this much time on your channel and talking to me, but I had a blast, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, like I said, I'd go another hour or two if I didn't have to work in the morning.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Maybe I should start doing this on Fridays.
Yeah. It's
be weird Thursday with a friend on Friday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
So anyway, thank you guys. And he is also on Mondays.
Yeah, I'm on Mondays with the Mega Powers boys. We do Monday Night Raw. It starts at 8. We open toys and we just talk silliness between me, Gaines, and Jerk. It's a good time. He started bringing guests on too. Last Monday he had Laser Pants. The week before that he had Rocco. And I don't want to spoil anything. I think he's got a big one coming this Monday too. I don't know. I don't want to say anything. I heard it through the grapevine. I
do have to talk to you guys about your name. So Monday Night Raw was the first one, and I was on first.
Okay.
And then you guys have gotten bigger, but that's what Nitro did. But eventually, I'm going to crush you guys. So you guys should change your name to Monday Nitroed.
Nitroed.
And I'll be Monday Night Raw Ramblings. Like I said, I tell everyone, if Monday works for you, and if 9 o'clock is what works for you to do a live stream and you want to do it, there's no hard feelings.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's only so many days in the week.
Hell yeah, dude. And like I said, man, just be different. Don't be like everybody else. I guarantee you they'll come, man. I've seen a couple guys that are in this chat room that their content is not like everybody else's, and they have me watching every single time they post something. It's just be you, man. People want to watch you. They want to watch your personality. They don't give a fuck how many dude, how many of us have all the same toys? We all collect the same things, whether it's G.I. Joe, Marvel, whatever. It's all the same shit. You're not coming to watch the toy. You're coming to watch the person. So just be good.
Yes.
Be you. Be funny. Be entertaining. And I guarantee you the views will come. You just be patient, man. And I know it's annoying to say, but it's just a game of patience. Just a waiting game.
Yep. So we will call it a night. This is the longest one that we've done. Tony, thank you so much because I had a great time.
Yeah, you're so welcome, bud.
Thank you to Fox. What is her name?
Her name is Dominique.
Dominique.
Yeah.
Not Dominique.
No, not Dominique.
I only asked. I talked to a friend and she's like, as long as you call me Dominique, because that's.
She's like that. As long as you call her Dominique, she's all right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will all catch you this Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Some people will catch you on Monday till 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm just saying.
Hey man, listen, you can hang out with us for the first hour. I don't care. I'll take.
Hey, at least I try. As long as I'm not in my nap mode.
Yeah.
I need it. I've gotten fucking old.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you guys all later. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button in the description. You will see links to his YouTube and Instagram. Go over there and hit like and subscribe because it just feels really good.
Take
care.